Chapter 2707. Ling Zhao's qi and blood rose, transforming into a giant golden dragon that coiled around his body. It let out a dragon's roar that shook the heavens and earth, causing the surrounding void to tremble violently. The great desolation's heart in front of him seemed to have sensed the ancestral dragon's bloodline in Ling Zhao's body. It trembled violently as if a heart was beating faster and faster, spewing out a blazing light. Above the transparent barrier, the four sacred beasts appeared once again. As if responding to the dragon's roar, they let out a furious roar at the same time. Now's the time. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as his body trembled violently. His vast qi and blood surged toward the barrier once again. It was as if a golden divine dragon had merged with the four sacred beasts in an instant, transforming into 5 sacred beasts. At the same time, they exuded a powerful pressure and spewed out a 5-colored divine glow. The 5-colored divine glow contained the power of the 5 elements. It intertwined and condensed, forming a 5-element divine ring that began to ripple in the surroundings. The originally incomparably sturdy and powerful transparent barrier began to tremble violently, as if it would collapse at any time. "Your Highness, the seal is about to be opened." Bai Ling's eyes lit up, and she looked eager to give it a try. "Don't rush. If you want to open the seal, you must withstand the backlash of the Great Path. Only Ling Zhao's heavenly fate can do that. When the backlash of the Great Path descends and is about to end, you can rush in and snatch the Great Desolation's heart." The Immortal's Highness said slowly. "Thank you for your reminder, Your Highness. I will definitely obtain the Great Desolation's heart for you." Bai Ling's eyes were filled with gratitude. If not for the Immortal's reminder, she would have rushed in and died from the backlash of the Great Path. "Be careful." The Immortal's Highness patted Bai Ling's shoulder and said, "Rumble." At the same time, the barrier trembled more and more violently. The 5 powerful sacred beasts' shadows seemed to be about to transform into their true forms and rush out directly. Their auras were extremely terrifying. The originally sturdy and perfect barrier trembled violently. Runes shattered one after another, and the Great Desolation's heart appeared before Ling Zhao's eyes. Suddenly, Ling Zhao felt a vast energy of the Grand Tao descend. The surrounding void shook violently. The vast power of the Great Path contained waves that could destroy everything, intertwining with the way and reason. Divine chains of order appeared and wrapped around Ling Zhao's body. Flames of the Great Path even burned within them. Ling Zhao felt as if there were billions of mountains pressing down on him, rendering him immobile in an instant. Is this the backlash from the Great Tao? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed, but he did not reveal the slightest trace of panic. Previously, the Celestial Lord had told him that only his heavenly Tao providence could open the seal on the Great Desolate Heart. Ling Zhao had already guessed that opening the seal would result in an incomparably powerful backlash from the Great Tao. The Great Desolation's heart was the power core of the Great Desolation mystic realm. It contained the power of the Great Tao. The primogenitors of the 5 sacred clans sealed the Great Desolation's heart. The transparent boundary itself contained the power of the Great Tao. When Ling Zhao opened the seal and released the Great Desolate Heart, it was equivalent to breaking open the power of the Great Tao. Naturally, he would suffer a backlash from the Great Tao. Within Ling Zhao's body, the mysterious Holy Tao tree bloomed with 3,000 dazzling rays of light. It was enigmatic and unfathomable. Rooted in the chaos, it contained the power of the 3,000 Great Tao. It was mysterious and immortal. Ling Zhao's heart also beat violently. The fortune jade disc emitted strands of light of the Great Tao that covered Ling Zhao's entire body. It made him seem holy and mysterious. Ling Zhao seemed to have become the embodiment of the Great Tao. The backlash from the Great Tao that had supported him actually slowly disappeared like snow. At this moment, the seal of the Great Desolation's heart was completely shattered. The resplendent Great Desolate Heart was like a sun that bloomed with a myriad of rays of light. It radiated with a dignified and ancient ripple that made the depths of one's soul tremble. It was as if one couldn't help but want to kneel down and worship it. Bai Ling, who had been standing guard at the side, instantly soared into the sky. She turned into a dazzling ray of light that surpassed Ling Xiao and reached out to grab the Great Desolate Heart. The Great Desolate Heart can only belong to His Highness. Ling Xiao, you despicable and wretched ant. You don't deserve the Great Desolate Heart. Bai Ling's eyes were filled with excitement and cold indifference. She could even feel the mysterious and holy light of the Great Desolate Heart. It contained an incomparably majestic and violent power. This was a priceless treasure. This priceless treasure can only fall into the hands of His Highness. Boom. However, the moment Bai Ling touched the Great Desolate Heart, her entire body shook violently. A mysterious ripple spread from her body and Bai Ling's expression instantly froze. She maintained her outstretched hand. The light in her eyes dimmed as if the flame of her life had been completely extinguished. Then, her entire body exploded into a rain of light with a loud bang and merged with the Great Desolate Heart. After swallowing Bai Ling, the Great Desolate Heart's blazing light slowly receded. Its violent power began to dissipate. In the end, it turned into a human-shaped crystal that was overflowing with light and color. It quietly floated in the void. Boom! Boom! Ling Xiao and the Immortal Highness attacked at the same time. They were like two bolts of lightning that streaked across the sky. In an instant, they violently collided in the void. Ling Xiao and the Immortal Highness bodies shook violently. Then, the two of them retreated at the same time. The Great Desolate Heart was between Ling Xiao and the Immortal Highness. However, when their gazes met, it was as if solid lightning had collided, exploding into a blazing light. As expected of the Heaven's Chosen One who possesses the fortune of the Heavenly Tao. You actually managed to resolve the backlash of the Great Tao so quickly. How astonishing! The Immortal Highness sighed softly. Your Highness is also very impressive. I never thought that your Highness would have already known that the Great Desolate Heart required a sacrifice. You actually did not hesitate to sacrifice your maidservant. I'm afraid that your maidservant would not even know that you had used her as cannon fodder until she died. Ling Xiao laughed coldly. If I told you that I also did not know that the Great Desolate Heart required a sacrifice, would you believe me? The Immortal Highness looked indifferently at Ling Xiao as he spoke. I believe you. A Heaven's Chosen One like you, high and mighty, has probably long been used to being cautious. Even if you did not know that the Great Desolate Heart required a sacrifice, you would not have done it yourself. You would have needed others to share the risk for you. At a critical moment, even the closest person would be heartlessly abandoned by you. Ling Xiao said indifferently. He did not conceal the mockery in his eyes at all. You're very smart. However, we both want the Great Desolate Heart. What do you think we should do? The Immortal Highness smiled faintly. What should we do? Then let's fight. The winner will have the Great Desolate Heart and everything of the other party. The loser dies. Killing intent rose in Ling Xiao's eyes. In an instant, an incomparably powerful battle intent erupted from his body. He soared through the sky and charged towards the Immortal Highness. Chapter 2708. Not only was the Celestial Race's Royal Highness unfathomably powerful, but he was also extremely scheming. Ling Xiao did not know how many tricks he had up his sleeves, so he decided to strike first and kill the Celestial Race's Royal Highness with lightning speed. After Ling Xiao had broken through to the Saint King realm, his strength had skyrocketed. Even without the help of an Extreme Path Emperor weapon, he was confident that he could kill a heavenly venerate expert. As long as the Celestial Race's Royal Highness did not descend in person, Ling Xiao was confident that he could kill him. This was the belief of being invincible. He was invincible. Ling Xiao, hold on. The Celestial Race's Royal Highness turned into a stream of light and dodged Ling Xiao's powerful attack. His eyes revealed a strange look. Look, what is this? The Celestial Race's Royal Highness smiled and waved his hand. Immediately, a bright light screen appeared in front of Ling Xiao, displaying the scene outside the Eternal Immortal Palace. Zhao Ritian, Old Goat, Taoist Wu Yang, Long Outyan, and Long Xiaoxiao were fighting a bloody battle. At this moment, they were completely at a disadvantage and seemed to be in imminent danger. The 3 heavenly venerates were surrounding the 5 of them. The 3 heavenly venerates were extremely powerful. At this moment, they were unleashing their full strength. Their saint aura was as vast as the sea, and their fighting strength was extremely strong. Even though Zhao Ritian had an extreme path emperor weapon, he was only a great saint. 2 of the heavenly venerates joined forces and suppressed Zhao Ritian firmly. The other heavenly venerate expert had the absolute upper hand. Old Goat, Long Outyen, and the others were in imminent danger, as if they would die at the hands of the heavenly venerate at any moment. Damn it! Poor they. Ling Zhao's body trembled, and his eyes were filled with rage. Ling Xiao, please tell me your choice now. Do you choose to fight with me here to decide the ownership of the wilderness's heart, or do you choose to save them? I believe that the heaven's chosen one, who is loyal and affectionate, will definitely not care about the wilderness's heart. You will definitely choose to save them. Am I right? The celestial race's Royal Highness said with a smile, as if everything was under his control. Although Ling Xiao could not help but want to kick the celestial race's Royal Highness's face a few times, he suppressed it. At this moment, he turned into a bolt of lightning and shot out rapidly. Your Highness of the immortal race, wait for me to kill those 3 celestial venerables, then I'll kill you. Without any hesitation, Ling Xiao left after saying that. Young master, this is all part of His Highness' scheme. You shouldn't have left. The Great Desolation's heart is extremely important to you. It's the foundation for you to conquer the heavens in the future. How can you give up the Great Desolation's heart for a few outsiders? Uncle Su said worriedly and anxiously. Uncle Su, they are not outsiders. They are my brothers, my family. If I can sacrifice them for the Great Desolation's heart, then what's the difference between me and the Immortal's Highness? Ling Xiao said seriously. His speed was extremely fast. What a pity. If that's the case, I'm afraid that the Chaos Heart will fall into the hands of the Immortal Clan's Highness. Since he's so confident, I'm afraid that he also possesses the bloodline of the 5 great sacred tribes. Uncle Su smiled bitterly. Uncle Su, even if I don't have the primeval Chaos Heart, I'm confident that I'll be able to rule the heavens. I won't sacrifice anyone. Uncle Su, I won't sacrifice you either. Ling Xiao said solemnly. His eyes were filled with determination. He was like a bolt of golden lightning. In an instant, he passed through the endless towering ancient trees and entered the blazing sea of chaotic fire. Then, he headed for the exit of the eternal immortal palace without any hesitation. After hearing Ling Zhao's words, Uncle Su fell silent for a long time. Young master, perhaps we still have a chance. We're now fighting against His Highness for time. The Great Desolation's heart is the core of the power of the Great Desolation's secret realm. It won't be easy to completely refine it. I'll hold him back. No matter what, we have to stop him from refining the Great Desolation's heart. Young master, you quickly deal with the 3 celestial masters and then come kill His Highness. As long as you can kill him before he completely refines the Great Desolation's heart, the Great Desolation's heart will still be yours. Uncle Su gritted his teeth. His eyes were filled with incomparable madness. Uncle Su, you're the weapon spirit of the Great Void Temple. How can you hold His Highness back? No, it's too dangerous. Even if I give up the Great Desolation's heart, I won't put you in danger. Ling Xiao shook his head and said, Young master, there's no time. Trust me, I'll definitely hold His Highness back. Uncle Su said quickly. Then, in an instant, he turned into a black ray of light and rushed out of Ling Zhao's sea of consciousness. He shot toward the Great Desolation's heart in the distance. Uncle Su. Ling Zhao's body trembled. His eyes were filled with deep emotions. However, he knew that Uncle Su was right. Now, he had to fight against His Highness for time. He had no right to hesitate. Although Ling Zhao's heart was filled with incomparable struggle and worry, he did not hesitate and rushed out of the Eternal Immortal Palace. Outside the Eternal Immortal Palace, 2 celestial masters were besieging Zhao Ritian. Their eyes were filled with greed as they stared at the Yen Emperor Cauldron and the Heavenly Tao Emperor Sword in Zhao Ritian's hands. Zhao Ritian had also gone completely crazy. Terrifying radiance gushed out from his body. The Yen Emperor Cauldron and the Heavenly Tao Emperor's sword simultaneously unleashed an unparalleled Emperor's aura, causing serious injuries to the two Heavenly Masters. However, wielding two Emperor weapons at the same time was extremely stressful for Zhao Riqian. At this moment, his face was pale and his eyes were filled with cold, killing intent. The strength of the two Celestial Masters was beyond Zhao Riqian's imagination. Zhao Riqian could feel that the bodies of the two Celestial Masters were demonic plants, similar to the 10,000 demonic ancient tree. The strength of a demonic plant far exceeded that of a demonic overlord of the same rank. It was extremely terrifying and was even stronger than the great elder of the Purple Moon Divine Clan, Zi Fengla. The joint attack of the two Celestial Masters was extremely stressful for Zhao Riqian. On the other side, the old goat, Taoist Wuliang, Long Outyin, and Long Xiaoxiao were facing off against a Celestial Master expert. All of them suffered serious injuries and seemed to be at the end of their rope. Zhao Riqian was extremely anxious. He wanted to help, but there was nothing he could do. Ling Xiao, if you don't come out now, we're all doomed. Zhao Riqian roared angrily. His eyes were filled with anxiety. Ling Xiao? Hee, don't talk about him not coming out. If he dares to come out, do you think he can save all of you? All of you will die today. An old Celestial Master sneered coldly. His eyes were filled with cold, killing intent. Rumble. The Celestial Master who was fighting against the old goat and the others burst out with blazing light. In an instant, a huge palm print descended from the sky and slapped the old goat down from the sky. Chapter 2709. Old Goat. Taoist Wuliang shouted. There was a hint of madness in his eyes. Sword chi rose around him. In an instant, hundreds of millions of sword rays whizzed out like a vast sea and shot toward the heavenly venerate in the sky. Child's play. The Celestial Master's eyes were filled with disdain. He pressed down with his palm, which seemed to contain a world of its own. In an instant, it devoured the billions of strands of sword chi that Taoist Wuliang had unleashed. In the next moment, the palm descended and slammed Taoist Wuliang deep into the ground. The difference in cultivation was just too great. Long Outyin and Long Xiaoxiao were only in the Saint Realm, while the old goat and Taoist Wuliang had just entered the Great Saint Realm not long ago. They were almost at their limits to be able to withstand the suppression of a Celestial Master for so long. With the old goat and Taoist Wuliang suppressed, Long Outyin and Long Xiaoxiao were immediately exposed to the Celestial Master. Die! The heavenly venerate's eyes were filled with cold, killing intent. A huge palm print descended once again like a mountain, wanting to crush Long Outyin and Long Xiaoxiao into dust. Don't worry, Xiaoxiao. I'll protect you. Long Outyin shielded Long Xiaoxiao behind him. Blood chi surged around him as a dragon's roar erupted. His eyes were filled with madness. He immediately wanted to ignite his bloodline and origin spirit to block the killing blow. Boom! At this moment, it was as if a resplendent sun had risen into the sky. In an instant, millions of rays of light bloomed and turned into an unparalleled fist that shot towards the Celestial Venerate. The fist print was terrifying to the extreme. It was as if the Celestial Emperor was suppressing the world and sweeping through the heavens. It contained an invincible fist will. In an instant, it turned the Celestial Lord's palm into dust. Then, without losing any momentum, it blasted toward his head. Who's there? The Celestial Master's expression changed. His eyes were filled with shock and anger. He could only see a resplendent figure shrouded in light shooting towards him, but he couldn't see the face clearly. He felt a great threat from that fist. He didn't even think about it. His palms shot out and an extremely cold chi erupted. It instantly froze everything within 10,000 miles in an attempt to completely freeze that figure. The cold chi condensed into ice, but it shattered in an instant, revealing Ling Zhao's figure. A ray of light that contained boundless fluctuations of time pierced through the void and pierced towards the Celestial Master's forehead. Ling Xiao. The Celestial Master's expression changed. He didn't expect Ling Xiao to come. It's cousin. Cousin is here. These three old things are dead. Long Aotian shuddered, and his eyes were filled with excitement. It's Ling Xiao. He's finally here. Taoist Wuliang heaved a sigh of relief. If he came a little later, he wouldn't have been able to see us. The old goat muttered softly, but there was a relaxed smile in his eyes. Rumble. The celestial master's palm was instantly pierced by Ling Xiao's finger. The age annihilation finger erupted with a power that could destroy everything. The light was extremely bright, intending to kill the celestial master with a single finger. The celestial master's eyes were filled with shock and anger. He felt an extremely strong threat from Ling Xiao. It was a feeling of death. Suppress! Ling Xiao shouted coldly. In an instant, the heavenly might descended from the sky like an immemorial mountain. It contained a vast and mighty emperor's might and pressed down on the celestial venerate. The celestial master originally wanted to escape and avoid Ling Xiao's age annihilation finger. He didn't expect the heaven's might to erupt with such terrifying power. His body froze for a moment. It was at this moment that Ling Xiao's age annihilation finger pierced the celestial master's forehead. The vast power of time gushed out and rushed towards the celestial master's primordial spirit. At the same time, a wisp of devouring fire danced on Ling Xiao's fingertip. It contained the power of fire origin and rushed into the celestial master's forehead. Save me! The celestial master's eyes were filled with fear as he screamed crazily. The finger of time destruction had only heavily injured his soul, but the sky-devouring fire contained the origin of fire. When it touched his skin, it actually began to burn fiercely. Very soon he was engulfed in flames. Rumble! The celestial master trembled violently. Blazing light gushed out of his body as endless flames burned. Amidst the flames, he revealed his true form, which was a huge locust tree. A painful face appeared on the locust tree, and it even began to distort. He was actually a locust tree. What? Celestial Master Huai! The two celestial masters who were besieging Zhao Rantian were trembling all over. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. When Ling Xiao attacked Celestial Master Huai, they also noticed Ling Xiao. They originally thought that Celestial Master Huai would be able to hold on for a while, but they never thought that Ling Xiao's attack would be so fierce and terrifying. He actually killed Celestial Master Huai in an instant. Celestial Master Huai's strength was unparalleled. He was second only to the two of them, but he was killed by Ling Xiao just like that. Didn't that mean that Ling Xiao also had the strength to kill the two of them? The two celestial masters' eyes were filled with shock and anger. In an instant, they gave up on attacking Zhao Rantian and pulled away from him. Their eyes were filled with extreme vigilance. Ling Xiao is actually so strong. Zhao Rantian was also extremely shocked and a little dejected. He originally thought that he had caught up to Ling Xiao, but he didn't expect to be left behind by Ling Xiao again. He was suppressed by the two celestial masters to the point where he couldn't resist, but Ling Xiao killed Celestial Master Huai in an instant. Zhao Rantian, hold the line for me. Don't let them escape. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with murderous intent. He didn't even look at Celestial Master Huai, who was suffering from the burning pain. Instead, he looked at the remaining two celestial masters. Rumble! Ling Xiao did not hesitate in the slightest. His heavenly might soared into the sky like a divine mountain. At the same time, an aura that could destroy the heavens and earth erupted from Ling Xiao's body. It was as though a dark hell had risen up. An invincible great emperor figure appeared, carrying with it a power that could destroy the heavens and earth as it charged towards the two heavenly venerables. Celestial Emperor Prison Suppression Technique. Ling Xiao had no intention of wasting time with them. He only wanted to kill these three celestial masters as soon as possible, then return to the Eternal Immortal Palace to kill the Immortal Clan's highness. He couldn't let Uncle Su fall into danger. Ling Xiao, do you really think that you can kill us all by yourself? The two celestial masters were shocked and angry. Their eyes were filled with cold, murderous intent. In an instant, terrifying auras erupted from them as they charged towards Ling Xiao. Rumble! The two celestial masters seemed to know that Ling Xiao was incomparably terrifying. They also began to fight with their lives on the line. Black light surged around them, revealing a huge black flower and countless thorns that looked like tentacles. These two celestial masters were actually Rose Flower and Thorny Thorn respectively. They could be called Celestial Master Rose and Celestial Master Thorny Thorn respectively. The two of them revealed their true forms, and their strength instantly increased by several times. P.S. This is the end of the third update. I wish everyone a happy new year and everything goes well. Brothers, you can join Muyu's reader group. Muyu will give everyone a big red packet tonight and tomorrow. Chapter 2710. Kacha. Blazing lightning flashed across the sky as divine light gushed out. The gigantic black rose seemed to be able to devour the heavens and earth, forming a gigantic black vortex in the sky. The thorns that looked like tentacles were covered with sharp barbs that danced like dragons and snakes. They were surrounded by blazing lightning as they pierced through the void towards Ling Xiao. Both Heavenly Sovereign Rose and Heavenly Sovereign Thorns were demonic plants that had attained the Tao. Their strength was unparalleled and they were much stronger than ordinary demonic beasts. Their bodies also contained boundless origin energy. The gigantic black rose and thorns were tens of thousands of feet tall. Their auras were extremely terrifying and they surrounded Ling Xiao almost instantly. They could feel the immense threat coming from Ling Xiao, so they did not hesitate to reveal their true forms, wanting to kill Ling Xiao once and for all. Rumble. Vast heavenly might pressed down like an immemorial sacred mountain that contained the power to suppress everything. In an instant, the boundless darkness was cleansed and a majestic and holy light bloomed. The great Emperor's shadow was like a supreme ruler that could sweep across the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Every strike contained unstoppable power. This was the Heavenly Emperor's prison suppression art, a peerless emperor technique created by the Heavenly Prison Great Emperor. Every strike contained the Heavenly Prison Great Emperor's extreme power that could destroy everything. The boundless black light dissipated and the gigantic thorns were smashed into pieces by the Great Emperor's shadow. Purple chi rose around Ling Xiao's body, and thousands of rays of divine light shot out. Almost all the attacks that came towards him were annihilated within 10 feet of him. They melted like snow and completely disappeared. Ling Xiao did not seem to care about the attacks of the two heavenly sovereigns. Instead, he displayed his peerless killing power in an attempt to kill the two heavenly sovereigns. Looks like Ling Xiao has really carved out his own path. Zhao Ritian said enviously. He stood aside to support Ling Xiao. The Yen Emperor's cauldron and Heavenly Emperor's sword shone brightly and spewed out blazing Emperor's aura as if they were ready to unleash their strongest attack at any time. Although Zhao Ritian was no match for Heavenly Sovereign Rose and Heavenly Sovereign Thorns, he had no problem stopping the two Heavenly Sovereigns from escaping with his two Emperor weapons. Zhao Ritian did not make a move, but Heavenly Sovereign Rose and Heavenly Sovereign Thorns felt an even greater pressure. Big brother, what should we do? Ling Xiao's physical body is almost indestructible. Our attacks can't do any fatal damage to him. Celestial Venerable Thorn quickly transmitted her voice to Celestial Venerable Rose. Her expression was extremely ugly, and her eyes were filled with shock. His sharp thorny tentacles were comparable to a full-powered attack from a Celestial Venerable. The dense thorns were extremely tough, but they were unable to penetrate Ling Xiao's body. Instead, they were all shattered by Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao did not need to be on guard at all. He could attack with all his might. However, Celestial Venerable Rose and Celestial Venerable Thorns had to be on guard against Ling Xiao's ferocious attacks. This guy is simply a mad dog. A mere Saint King Realm cultivator was actually able to kill a Heavenly Venerable. Could this be the destiny of the Chosen One? Heavenly Venerable Rose's expression was also extremely ugly. Her eyes were filled with shock and anger. Big brother, we can't hold back anymore. Let's use His Majesty's forbidden technique. As long as we can kill Ling Xiao, those trash won't be able to stop us. Heavenly Sovereign Thorns sneered. That's the only thing we can do now. If we can kill Ling Xiao and bring his body back to His Majesty, we can make up for our mistakes. Celestial Venerable Rose took a deep breath and nodded. Rumble. Ling Xiao's attacks were extremely powerful. His Heavenly Emperor Prison Suppression Technique, Heavenly Might Prison Technique, Age Annihilation Finger, Heavenly Emperor's Fist, and many other powerful Emperor techniques were unleashed by Ling Xiao. They posed a great threat to Heavenly Sovereign Rose and Heavenly Sovereign Thorns. Ling Xiao's fighting style made the two Heavenly Sovereigns feel great pressure. They even felt their scalps go numb. In the end, they could only passively defend against Ling Xiao's attacks. They couldn't even counterattack. The two Heavenly Sovereigns were completely at a disadvantage. It seems like the two Heavenly Sovereigns are doomed. Long Outyan's eyes flashed as he said slowly, Ling Xiao's cultivation has skyrocketed. I'm afraid they miscalculated. They didn't expect Ling Xiao to be so strong. The old goat nodded. But why does Ling Xiao look so anxious? Did something happen in the eternal immortal palace? Taoist Wu Yang glanced at Ling Xiao and frowned. He could vaguely sense that Ling Xiao's killing intent and battle intent had reached an extreme level. It was as if he was extremely anxious to finish off these two Empyrean powerhouses as quickly as possible. His attacks were swift and decisive, without the slightest bit of nonsense. Taoist Wu Yang wondered if Ling Xiao had encountered any mishaps in the eternal immortal palace. Just then, something strange happened. A thick bolt of lightning shot across the sky in an instant. It contained an extremely terrifying origin power of lightning and blasted Ling Xiao's body. Ling Xiao's body trembled violently as if he had been struck by lightning. Lightning flashed all over his body, and his entire body stiffened for a moment. Even though Ling Xiao's physical body was strong, he couldn't withstand such terrifying lightning origin energy. Skymaster Thorny Thorn transformed into her true form. She was a giant thorny vine with countless tentacles covered in sharp barbs. She unleashed a destructive divine power that sent Skymaster Meng flying. Heavenly Sovereign Thorn let out an earth-shattering roar. Terrifying sound waves intertwined and surged toward Ling Xiao's consciousness. As for Celestial Venerable Rose, she instantly transformed into a huge black rose. Dazzling lightning bolts surrounded her, containing waves of devouring and destruction. Taking advantage of Ling Xiao's stiff body, the lightning bolts swept across the sky and enveloped Ling Xiao. Within the rose, there seemed to be many divine chains of order that pierced through the void, binding Ling Xiao tightly. At the same time, they were like tentacles that wanted to reach into Ling Xiao's pores, wanting to devour the life essence and powerful vital energy and blood in his body. This happened in a flash. No one expected Heavenly Sovereign Thorn and Heavenly Sovereign Rose to be able to unleash such a powerful killing move. Is that the lightning origin energy? They are just two Heavenly Sovereigns. How can they unleash such powerful lightning origin energy? Zhao Ritian shuddered as a look of disbelief appeared in his eyes. Chapter 27:11. It's impossible for them, but I'm afraid there's a powerful Emperor Realm expert behind them. TKSK, I've never seen such pure lightning origin in my life. Second uncle's voice rang in Zhao Ritian's mind as he chuckled. Emperor Realm expert? Is that the demon king that the three heavenly masters were talking about? Ling Xiao is really a troublemaker. Wherever he goes, he'll attract a bunch of enemies. Zhao Ritian said with a bitter smile. Who asked him to be the chosen one? The chosen one possesses the heavenly fate chi and the hope of an era. Anyone who sees him will covet the heavenly fate chi of his sacred mountain. Not to mention a mere imperial monarch expert, even a supreme emperor would probably be envious of Ling Xiao's karmic luck. Second eldest uncle chuckled as if he was gloating over his misfortune. I hope this guy doesn't fail miserably. Zhao Ritian shook his head as a sharp light flashed in his eyes. He was ready to take out the Yen Emperor Cauldron and Heavenly Emperor Sword to attack Heavenly Master Rose and Heavenly Master Thorns to save Ling Xiao. However, Zhao Ritian was very confident in Ling Xiao. Hence, he did not make a move immediately. He wanted to see if Ling Xiao could resolve the situation. Rumble. In the void, huge thorns wrapped around Ling Xiao's body like dragons and snakes. The vast origin of lightning was like a sea of lightning that drowned everything. The huge black rose completely wrapped Ling Xiao in its petals. wanting to devour Ling Xiao completely. This scene was incomparably terrifying. Even a heavenly venerate powerhouse would not be able to do anything in the face of such a situation. They would definitely die. Boom. However, at this moment, Ling Xiao's body suddenly spewed out a blazing purple gas. In the vast light, a mysterious flame lotus flew out from his body. The flame was bright and dazzling, containing a mysterious fluctuation. As for the divine sequence chains around Ling Xiao, they were all annihilated when they came into contact with the lotus. After the surrounding lightning origin collided with the flame lotus, a wave of power erupted in an instant. Then, it suddenly gushed out in all directions. How can you still have the fire origin energy? Celestial Venerable Rose screamed. Her voice was filled with disbelief and fear. That flaming lotus was the heaven-devouring fire. It had fused with the chaotic flame origin beneath the chaos mystic realm and was capable of burning the heavens and destroying the earth. Previously, Celestial Venerable Huai had been burned to ashes by the heaven-devouring fire. Celestial Venerable Rose was already very careful. She unleashed the thunder origin left behind by the Demon King and wanted to take the opportunity to devour Ling Xiao. However, he didn't expect Ling Xiao to be able to fight back. Ling Xiao even had the power of the fire origin in his body. At this moment, the fire origin exploded. The sky-devouring fire instantly burned fiercely, completely enveloping Celestial Venerable Rose. Rumble! Within the endless flames, Celestial Venerable Rose's body trembled violently. Even within the flames, a twisted and frightened face could be seen. Celestial Venerable Thorns, who was originally entangling and imprisoning Ling Xiao, felt the power of the fire origin and was instantly sent flying. Her face was full of fear. After fusing with the fire origin energy, the heaven-devouring fire was the greatest nemesis for Celestial Venerables. Anyone who touched it would definitely die. You want to devour my life origin? I'll fulfill your wish. Ling Xiao sneered. In an instant he activated the heaven-devouring secret skill. The purple gas around him rose and gathered into a vast purple vortex that contained a terrifying power that could devour everything. Rumble! Celestial Venerable Rose's vast life origin, powerful chi and blood essence, and majestic primordial spirit power instantly rushed into Ling Xiao's body and were devoured by Ling Xiao. If Celestial Venerable Rose had been at her peak, it would have been difficult for Ling Xiao to devour her energy even if he used the heaven-devouring secret skill. However, at this moment, Celestial Venerable Rose was completely enveloped by the heaven-devouring fire. Her entire body had turned into a blazing flame and she could barely protect herself. Ling Xiao took the opportunity to devour the pure energy in Celestial Venerable Rose's body. His aura began to soar rapidly. Originally, Ling Xiao's cultivation realm had been greatly improved in the underground of the untainted mystery land. His primordial spirit power had increased by more than 30%, and his cultivation had soared to the peak of an ordinary holy king. Now, as Ling Xiao devoured Celestial Venerable Rose's energy, his cultivation realm was also slowly increasing. Ling Xiao's accumulation was so strong that it was hundreds or thousands of times more difficult for him to break through a small realm compared to others. It required an incomparably vast amount of energy. How much energy did a Celestial Venerable have? It was enough for an ordinary person to break through to the Holy King realm directly. It could be said that Celestial Venerable Rose had been caught in a trap of her own making. Her majestic energy had become a wedding dress for Ling Xiao. More than half of it had been devoured by Ling Xiao. Soon, it turned into ashes in the endless flames. The second Celestial Venerable was dead. Celestial Venerable Thorn's eyes were filled with fear. He did not even have the slightest intention of continuing the battle with Ling Xiao. There was only one thought in his mind. The further the better. In Celestial Venerable Thorn's eyes, Ling Xiao was like an Archean ferocious beast. He was so terrifying that he trembled all over and could not muster the slightest thought of resisting. Trying to escape? You'd better stay. Zhao Ritian's eyes flashed coldly as he sneered. He had been guarding against the two celestial venerables from the side. When he saw that celestial venerable Thorn wanted to escape, he did not hesitate to summon his two extreme Tao Emperor weapons. Rumble! The Yen Emperor Cauldron spewed out endless flames. It soared into the sky like a mountain and pressed down on celestial venerable Thorn. Everywhere it went, it turned into a fiery domain that could incinerate all life. The heavenly Tao Emperor sword was extremely sharp. It turned into a dazzling ray of light that pierced through the endless void and pierced towards celestial venerable Thorn's forehead. "Get out of my way!" Celestial venerable Thorn roared in shock and anger. He tried his best to unleash his most terrifying power to blast away the Yen Emperor Cauldron and the heavenly Tao Emperor sword. Celestial venerable Thorn went completely crazy. Terrifying saint power gushed out, causing the surrounding void to tremble violently. It swept across the void like a storm. The thick tentacles slammed onto the Yen Emperor Cauldron and the heavenly Tao Emperor sword. There was the sound of metal clashing and sparks flying everywhere. The Yen Emperor Cauldron and the heavenly Tao Emperor sword trembled violently and unleashed terrifying divine light fluctuations. However, a crack appeared. Celestial venerable Thorn was like a bolt of black lightning. He passed through the crack in an instant, trying to tear the void apart and escape. His survival instincts were unleashed to the extreme by celestial venerable Thorn. Third Sect Leader. Chapter 27:12. Boom! At this moment, an ancient and mysterious sky steel that exuded an ancient aura appeared in front of heavenly venerate Thorny. At the same time, a huge palm print came crashing down on Thorny Sovereign. Ling Xiao had arrived. Ling Xiao, don't go too far. Thorny Sovereign roared, her eyes filled with madness. She rushed into the sky recklessly and collided with the huge palm print. In an instant, unparalleled waves of divine light erupted. Die! Ling Xiao said coldly. Blazing divine light rose from his body and an immortal and mysterious wave of energy spread out. He unleashed his unparalleled physical strength and punched down. This punch seemed to have pierced through civilization, shattered epics, and shattered the heavens. It contained a mysterious scene of the world's reincarnation and the destruction of the heavens. It was as if it wanted to bury everything in chaos and restart the cycle of epics. Epical Fist. This was Ling Xiao's pure physical strength, and also Ling Xiao's own Tao. This was an extremely terrifying origin energy. It had killed celestial masters, slain the demon king's clone, and destroyed the immortal prince's imprint. It was unparalleled in the universe. Boom! Heavenly Venerate Thorn hastily tried to block the attack. Her body trembled violently and her arm exploded into a bloody mist. She was sent flying. Boom, boom, boom. Ling Xiao was like a purple-gold lightning bolt. He threw hundreds of punches in an instant, each containing unparalleled fist intent. They all landed on Thorny Sovereign, causing her to tremble violently. She coughed up blood and her eyes were filled with disbelief and fear. Thorny Sovereign found it hard to believe that such terrifying fist intent could be unleashed by a Saint Ruler expert. She suddenly felt a trace of energy from Ling Xiao that was similar to the Demon King's. It was the origin of the Great Tao, the power of the Extreme Tao. It was the energy of the Supreme Divinity Realm. I am invincible. Thorny Sovereign suddenly became extremely terrified. Her body trembled violently and her eyes were filled with despair and deep regret. Ling Xiao's final punch landed on Thorny Skymaster's body, causing her to explode. Both her primordial spirit and physical body turned into a bloody mist. Devour! Ling Xiao roared and unleashed the sky-devouring secret technique. His body exuded a terrifying aura that could devour the heavens and earth. The vast and powerful energy around Thorny Sovereign also surged into Ling Xiao's body. Both Empyrean Lord of Thorns and Empyrean Lord of Rosette were monster plants. Their energies were several times or even dozens of times stronger than an ordinary Empyrean. After Ling Xiao devoured the two celestial masters' flesh essence and primordial spirit energy, his cultivation level began to skyrocket. Rumble! Lightning flashed around Ling Xiao's body. His divine light was vast and purple qi filled the air. He had just become a saint king not long ago, but as he refined his body with the chaotic flames and strengthened his yuan spirit with his illusory realm, coupled with the fact that he had devoured the cultivations of the two celestial venerables, his cultivation had skyrocketed to the peak of the Saint King realm. It's not enough. A sharp light appeared in Ling Zhao's eyes. In an instant, 1 billion origin source pills flew out from the heaven's might and exploded around him like a resplendent river. They turned into a violent origin source sea that surged wildly into Ling Zhao's body. Gotcha! The power source in Ling Zhao's body surged like a great river. With the support of the two celestial venerables' violent energy, Ling Zhao's cultivation was like a hot knife through butter. He broke through that rock-solid bottleneck and directly stepped into the realm of peak saint ruler. It only took Ling Zhao 3 days to reach the peak Holy King realm from Dao proving Holy King realm. Although this breakthrough was a little hasty and his cultivation level was unstable, Ling Zhao didn't care. He needed strength. He needed unparalleled strength to deal with the upcoming battle. Facing the Celestial Highness, Ling Zhao had to bring out his strongest strength to fight. Wait for me outside the Eternal Celestial Palace. I'm going to kill the Celestial Masters. Ling Zhao said to Zhao Ritian, Old Goat, Taoist Wu Yang, Long Outyan, and Long Xiaoxiao. Instantly, a blazing light burst out from his body. Without any hesitation, he turned into a bolt of lightning and rushed into the Eternal Celestial Palace. From the moment Ling Zhao swallowed Empyrean Thorn, to the moment he swallowed 1 billion origin pills, broke through to the pinnacle of the Holy King realm, and flew into the Eternal Immortal Palace, everything happened in a single breath. Zhao Ritian and the others didn't even have time to react. What just happened? Did he break through again? Zhao Ritian's eyes widened. They were filled with grief and indignation. The gap between him and Ling Zhao was huge. He hadn't even broken through to the Saint King realm, but Ling Zhao had broken through to the peak Holy King realm again. The gap between them was getting bigger and bigger. Zhao Ritian felt that there was no light in front of him. He felt a little hopeless. When would he be able to complete the magnificent feat of beating Ling Zhao up? Ling Zhao said that he's going to kill the Immortal Clan's highness? Old Goat's eyes widened. His face was filled with shock. Even when Ling Zhao killed 2 celestial masters and broke through to the peak Holy King realm, he didn't feel as shocked as Ling Zhao's words. That's right. He said that he's going to kill the Immortal Clan's highness. This is going to be big. The Immortal Clan's highness isn't that easy to kill. Taoist Wu Yang's eyes revealed a trace of worry. Even when Ling Zhao was facing the 3 celestial venerables, he was certain that Ling Zhao would win. He was full of confidence in Ling Zhao. However, when facing the celestial race's highness, Taoist Wu Yang had no confidence and was filled with worry. The Immortal Clan's highness must be scheming something in the Eternal Celestial Palace. Otherwise, Ling Zhao wouldn't be so anxious. What should we do? We have to do something. We can't let Ling Zhao fight alone, right? The old goat said anxiously. You're right. We can't let Ling Zhao fight alone. As brothers, we have to help him win this battle. The Immortal Clan's highness is just a clone. He can lose, but Ling Zhao can't. I have a way to weaken the Immortal Clan's highness, but I'm afraid we'll have to pay a huge price. We might even have to use up a lot of our life force. Are you willing to do that? Taoist Wu Yang said slowly with a hint of madness in his eyes. Old Taoist Wu Yang, don't talk so much nonsense. What's a mere loss of life? Tell me what to do. I'll listen to you. The old goat nodded heavily and said, Me too. Long Outyan said hurriedly, I want to help brother Ling Zhao too. Long Xiaoxiao said seriously, Count me in. Ling Zhao, that troublemaker, is annoying. However, I hate that pretentious Immortal Clan's highness more. Fuck, he's even more arrogant than I, Zhao Ritian. We have to destroy his arrogance. Zhao Ritian walked over as well and sneered. Alright, since that's the case, you guys listen to me. Now, go and move the 108 mountains here. Follow my instructions and set up the array. Taoist Wu Yang said slowly, revealing his crazy plan. Everyone did not hesitate at all. After listening to Taoist Wu Yang's words, they instantly turned into streams of light and moved into the distance according to their respective division of labor. P.S. End of third update. Brothers, rest early. The first day of the Lunar New Year can be considered a new beginning. I wish everyone success in everything they wish for in the new year. Chapter 27:13. The Eternal Immortal Palace was located in the center of the Chaos Secret Territory. It was mysterious and ancient. The Immortal's Highness had built the Eternal Immortal Palace here because of the Chaos Heart. The Eternal Immortal Palace led directly to the depths of the Chaos Secret Territory. It was the closest place to the Chaos Heart. Although they had to pass through the Primal Chaos Flame Sea and the Natural Illusion Formation, this was the closest place. The Immortal Race's Highness had already discovered the Great Wilderness's heart long ago. If it weren't for the fact that they couldn't open the seal on the Great Wilderness's heart, they would have refined it long ago. Now that the seal on the Chaos Heart had been broken by Ling Xiao, no one could stop the Immortal's Highness from obtaining the Chaos Heart. Rumble. The Great Desolation's heart looked dazzling, like a blazing sun, emitting an eternal and immortal light. Primal chaos rose in the surroundings, spreading out like an ocean. The Immortal's Highness was sitting cross-legged in front of the Chaos Heart. His body was surrounded by a five-colored divine glow. Boundless light surged as he refined the Chaos Heart. A black shadow silently blended into the Great Desolation's heart. It did not attract the attention of the Immortal's Highness. A five-colored divine ring emerged from the Immortal's Highness body. It was enshrouded in a strange light. It was the power of the great Tao of the five elements. It slowly surrounded the Chaos Heart, trying to refine it. The power of the great Tao of the five elements seemed to be extremely attractive to the Chaos Heart. Even though the Immortal's Highness didn't have the ancestral bloodline of the five sacred tribes, he could still refine the Chaos Heart quickly with the power of the great Tao of the five elements. In the time it took for an incense stick to burn, he had refined half of the Chaos Heart. However, the Immortal's Highness sensed that his refining speed was slowing down. It was as if there was an extremely strange power that was preventing him from refining the Chaos Heart. Buzz. The Immortal's Highness' eyes were instantly covered with a layer of brilliant immortal light. It contained the power to see through everything. He shot into the Chaos Heart and saw a black shadow inside. "Who is it? Show yourself." The Immortal's Highness said coldly. He had finally found the main culprit that was preventing him from refining the Great Desolate's heart. He was incomparably shocked in his heart. He did not know when, but a black shadow had entrenched itself within the Great Desolate's heart. However, after the Immortal Highness finished speaking, the black shadow did not respond. "You don't want to come out? Then don't blame me for being impolite." A cold light flashed in the eyes of the Immortal's Highness. He immediately pointed in the air and a blazing five-colored light shot out. In an instant, it turned into a five-colored net and imprinted itself into the Great Desolation's heart. It swept towards the black shadow. Rumble. As if it felt threatened, a terrifying aura gushed out from the untainted heart in an instant. The black shadow flew out and turned into an old man in a black robe. He had white hair and a beard, and he looked amiable. "Who are you? Why are you stopping me from refining the Great Desolate's heart?" The Immortal Highness stared at the old man and asked, "Immortal's Highness, this Great Desolate's heart is not meant for you. It originally belonged to the Chosen One. Why don't you give it to him?" The black-robed old man smiled slightly. He was naturally Uncle Su. In order to buy time for Ling Xiao, he entered the Great Desolate's heart alone. He wanted to delay the Immortal's Highness from refining the Great Desolate's heart. He did not expect to be discovered by the Immortal's Highness. "You're Ling Xiao's man? What a joke! The treasures of heaven and earth belong to the capable. This Great Desolate's heart belongs to me. Who dares to snatch it from me? I think you're just trying to buy time for Ling Xiao. You're courting death." The Immortal's Highness's eyes flashed coldly. In an instant, he slammed his palm towards Uncle Su. He could sense that Uncle Su did not have a physical body. He was a spiritual body. Therefore, his attack contained a powerful primordial spirit attack. 7-colored immortal fire rose from his palm. In an instant, it swept across the void and turned into a blazing sea of fire. Although Uncle Su seemed unfathomable, the Immortal's Highness still attacked. He wanted to get rid of Uncle Su and refine the Great Desolate's heart. The black light around Uncle Su disappeared into the void in an instant. The 7-colored immortal fire missed its target. However, the void around him was distorted as if it was going to shatter at any time. In the next moment, Uncle Su appeared in another place. He was extremely fast. He could teleport without any spatial fluctuations. Therefore, the Immortal's Highness could not catch a trace of Uncle Su. Immortal's Highness, I don't want to be your enemy. Why are you being so aggressive? Uncle Su sighed softly. Don't try to buy time. If you want to stop me from refining the Great Desolate's heart, then die. The Immortal's Highness said coldly. Rumble. Resplendent immortal light bloomed around him. Divine chains of order traversed the void. Endless runes rose from the Immortal's Highness's body. It seemed as if an ancient formation was being carved. With a wave of his hand, an ancient formation flew out and enveloped Uncle Su. Uncle Su's speed was so fast that the Immortal's Highness could not catch him. He decided to set up a mysterious immortal formation. The ancient divine light was dazzling. It shrouded the void in all directions and formed a mysterious territory. Uncle Su's speed slowed down immediately. The divine light that filled the sky surged toward Uncle Su. It contained destructive energy fluctuations. Like a tornado, it was going to tear him into pieces. Great void! Uncle Su's eyes flashed sharply. Instantly, his body became incomparably illusory. The void around him began to distort and devour all the divine light. Uncle Su waved his sleeve. Suddenly, a majestic dragon roar was heard. In the endless chaos, it seemed as if an ancient dragon was soaring through the void and pouncing toward the Immortal's Highness. Child's play. The Immortal's Highness sneered. He pointed a finger in the air. The finger light pierced through everything and blew the chaos dragon into pieces. Boom! The divine light that filled the sky surged. The Immortal's Highness rose and slammed his palm toward Uncle Su. That palm contained the power of a tsunami. It seemed as if it could destroy everything. It enveloped Uncle Su completely. But at this moment, after the chaos dragon exploded, it did not disappear completely. Instead, it formed a dazzling rain of light. It was as if stars were falling from the sky. Streaks of starlight bloomed in the void. In an instant, it changed into various mysterious scenes. Tigers and dragons roared. Phoenixes and cranes cried. Black tortoises roared. Cheelins howled. Giant beasts spewed out flames. Ice giants froze thousands of miles. Humans wearing beast skins had strong vitality. They could kill powerful beasts. P.S. Muyu drank too much yesterday and forgot to update. I'll make up for it today. M. Chapter 27:14. An ancient and mysterious world seemed to have appeared around the Immortal Clan's Royal Highness. If Ling Xiao were here, he would have noticed that Uncle Su had created an ancient void realm. This was a mysterious scene that could only be created when one cultivated the path of heart to the extreme. The 9th level of the Heart Scripture of Great Void. Ling Xiao's Heart Scripture of Great Void was only at the 8th level. He did not know how long it would take for him to break through to the 9th level, but Uncle Su had already cultivated it to the 9th level. The 9th level of the Heart Scripture of Great Void allowed the Void Realm to create all things. Although the powerful divine beasts, primordial beasts, and ancient mutants seemed to be formed by the Heart Force, they were extremely real. It was as if the primordial creatures had been revived, and they contained an extremely terrifying aura. In an instant, tens of thousands of primordial beasts pounced toward the Immortal Clan's Royal Highness. Each of the primordial beasts had the combat strength of a saint, and the strongest among them, the 5 sacred beasts, had the strength of a saint ruler. Like a raging beast tide, the vast void realm descended. Tens of thousands of primordial beasts instantly drowned the Immortal Clan's Royal Highness. Rumble! In an instant, a shocking battle broke out. The Immortal Clan's Royal Highness's fist suppressed the void. Every punch seemed to be able to destroy the world. Endless lightning exploded, and his fist intent was incomparably vast. One primordial beast after another fell in his hands and turned into dust. The Immortal Clan's Royal Highness's body emitted a resplendent immortal light. The seven-colored immortal fire was dazzling. It suddenly burst out and enveloped the surroundings like flames, turning all the primordial beasts into ashes. The Immortal Clan's Royal Highness knew that Uncle Su wanted to buy time for Ling Xiao, so his attacks were extremely fierce. Even though Uncle Su's strength was unparalleled, he could not withstand the Immortal Clan's attacks at all. Boom! The Immortal Clan's Royal Highness instantly appeared in front of Uncle Su. His gaze was sharp and cold, containing a kind of lofty majesty. He pointed at Uncle Su, and a mysterious origin energy burst out from his finger. In an instant, it transformed into a five-colored divine light and flew toward Uncle Su. Uncle Su's expression instantly turned solemn. The origin power of the five elements contained the Immortal Clan's unique fierce and domineering offensive technique. It was terrifying to the extreme, as if it was specially designed to counter a spiritual body like him. Furthermore, the majesty of the immortal race seemed to be bent on killing Uncle Su. His attacks were merciless. The moment he struck out, his attacks were earth-shattering. Not only did he destroy billions of primordial beasts in an instant, he even wanted to kill Uncle Su completely. Sigil of Taishu. Su Bo sighed. He formed a seal with both hands, and billions of dazzling runes gathered in his palms, forming an ancient nine-colored divine rune. It was shrouded in chaotic mist and purple divine light, as if it had been born from the void. It slowly flew toward the palace of the immortals. The majesty of the Immortal Clan's Royal Highness finger was extremely fierce. The origin power of the five elements seemed to be able to destroy everything. However, when it collided with the sigil of Taishu, the surrounding void distorted. The origin power seemed to have shattered instantly, turning into a rain of light and dissipating. However, Uncle Su was also sent flying. His body trembled violently, and his figure became much more illusory. His eyes revealed a trace of exhaustion. As expected of the Immortal Clan's Royal Highness. The five elements' immortal jade finger is indeed extraordinary. Uncle Su said softly. You recognize the five elements' immortal jade finger? Or you? The majesty of the Immortal Clan's Royal Highness stared at Uncle Su and asked coldly. The five elements' immortal jade finger was a supreme immortal technique of the Immortal Clan. It was comparable to the Top Emperor technique and was a secret of the Immortal Clan. Not only did Uncle Su neutralize it, but he also recognized the five elements' immortal jade finger. This made the majesty of the Immortal Clan even more curious about Uncle Su's identity. I'm just a servant. It's normal that your majesty doesn't recognize me. Uncle Su said with a faint smile. Stop pretending to be mysterious. When I catch you and search your soul, I'll know who you are. The majesty of the Immortal Clan's Royal Highness's eyes turned cold. Boom! Seven-colored immortal fire rose around him. In an instant, it split into seven mysterious flames: red, orange, red, green, cyan, blue, and purple. Each flame was incomparably mysterious and holy. They were surrounded by immortal light and contained the mysterious origin energy. In addition to the five elements' origin, there was also the origin of yin and yang. The seven flames floated around the majesty of the Immortal Clan. Then, they slowly merged into a seven-colored fiery lotus. Mysterious flames flowed around it, and the surrounding void instantly burned up. Endless flames surged as the seven-colored fiery lotus spun in the air and pressed down on Uncle Su. As soon as the seven-colored fiery lotus appeared, everything around it seemed to disappear in an instant. Only a gray mist of chaos was left. However, the seven-colored fiery lotus made people feel the most terrifying killing intent. Seven-colored immortal lotus fire? You're able to control the supreme immortal fire of the Immortal Clan, second only to the nine-colored immortal lotus fire. It seems like you're the true crown prince of the Immortal Clan. Uncle Su's eyes flashed with a strange light. Facing the seven-colored immortal lotus fire, Uncle Su didn't seem to dodge at all. His expression was incomparably calm as he watched the seven-colored immortal lotus fire fly toward him. This was because he knew that the seven-colored immortal lotus fire couldn't be avoided. It was an immortal fire that directly locked onto one's fate. Not only did it contain the origin energy of fire, but it also contained the supreme law of the immortal clan. You really do know something. A cold light flashed in the eyes of the celestial race's highness. This feeling made him very uncomfortable. Uncle Su seemed to know many secrets of the celestial race, but he did not know Uncle Su's true identity. This made him feel like he was losing control. He didn't like this feeling, so he decided to completely destroy Uncle Su. The seven-colored immortal lotus fire instantly swept across the void and enveloped Uncle Su. Rumble! Amidst the seven-colored immortal lotus fire, Uncle Su's body shone brightly. His figure became more and more illusory, as if he would completely shatter at any moment. However, there was no sign of pain on Uncle Su's face. He quietly looked at the immortal highness, and a mysterious vortex seemed to be surging inside his body, slowly sucking in the wisps of seven-colored immortal lotus fire. Boom! In the next moment, a nine-colored immortal light seemed to rise from Uncle Su's body. In an instant, it turned into a dazzling bolt of lightning. With extreme speed, it flew directly toward Uncle Su. Not even His Highness of the immortal race had foreseen this. Or rather, he didn't think that Uncle Su would have a nine-colored immortal light in his body. For the first time, Uncle Su was shocked. This is the nine-colored immortal lotus fire. His Highness of the immortal race exclaimed, his eyes filled with disbelief. Chapter 27:15. The nine-colored immortal lotus fire instantly pierced through the immortal clan Royal Highness' chest, leaving behind a huge bloody hole. The wound looked extremely neat, but it did not pierce through his heart. The nine-colored immortal lotus fire quickly dissipated. The power of the nine-colored immortal lotus fire was still too weak. The immortal clan Royal Highness suddenly spat out a mouthful of golden blood. His eyes were filled with bone-chilling coldness. Nine-colored immortal lotus fire? How can you summon the nine-colored immortal lotus fire? You're from the immortal clan? Or you? I told you, I'm just a servant. What a pity, I didn't expect you to have the seed of the nine-colored immortal lotus fire in your body. Uncle Su's eyes revealed a trace of pity. The nine-colored immortal lotus fire was his most powerful attack. Even if it could not kill the immortal clan Royal Highness, it could at least severely injure him. Unfortunately, the immortal clan Royal Highness had a very high status in the immortal clan. Because of the seed of the nine-colored immortal lotus fire in his body, his injuries were not serious and he recovered almost instantly. Uncle Su floated in the void. He was extremely weak and his figure was incomparably illusory, as if he would disappear in the wind at any time. You're already an arrow at the end of its flight. Since you won't tell me, I'll search your soul and place it on the nine-colored immortal lotus fire to roast it for 10,000 years. The immortal clan Royal Highness said coldly. In an instant, he leaped across the sky and grabbed at Uncle Su. What a pity! I still can't injure him. I hope the young master has already dealt with the three celestial masters and can rush back in time. The wilderness heart is too important. I can't let it fall into the hands of the immortal clan. Uncle Su sighed softly in his heart. His eyes were calm and deep. There was no fear of death, only a trace of regret and intense fatigue. He was just a spiritual body. He had already reached his limit to be able to hold off the immortal clan Royal Highness for so long. In the face of the immortal clan Royal Highness attack, he had no strength to resist. Immortal clan Royal Highness, do you want to die? At this moment, a furious roar exploded in the void like a thunderclap, causing the surrounding void to tremble violently. In the distance, a blazing ray of divine light soared into the sky. It emitted a dazzling radiance, as if a resplendent sun was flying through the sky. Its speed was extremely fast. Ling Zhao's gaze was incomparably cold, containing monstrous killing intent and fury. After killing the 3 celestial venerates, he had rushed back to the eternal immortal palace, worried that Uncle Su might be in danger. However, he did not expect to see Su Bo severely injured by the celestial race's majesty the moment he charged through the Chaos Flame Sea and the Natural Illusion Array. He was so weak that he could not fight back at all. Ling Zhao's heart was instantly filled with rage. Rumble. Using a secret teleportation technique, he instantly appeared tens of thousands of feet away, blocking Uncle Su's path. With a cold glint in his eyes, he threw a punch at the Immortal Clan's Royal Highness. An earth-shattering dragon roar rang out. Ling Zhao's fist contained the vast might of the ancestral dragon. Condensed from the primordial immortal body's strongest physical body, it was terrifying to the extreme. In an instant, it collided with the Immortal Highness. The void rumbled and the Immortal Clan's Royal Highness was sent flying by Ling Xiao. Uncle Su, are you all right? Ling Xiao hurriedly helped Uncle Su up, his eyes filled with worry. Young master, I'm fine. Fortunately, you came in time. Otherwise, the primordial heart would have fallen into his hands. Be careful of his rainbow celestial lotus fire. Although Uncle Su looked very weak, he had a relaxed smile on his face as he spoke to Ling Xiao. All right, Uncle Su, go back to the Great Void Temple and recuperate. Ling Xiao could sense that Uncle Su was extremely weak. Without hesitation, he released a vast amount of primordial spirit power into Uncle Su's body and sent him back to the Great Void Temple to recuperate. Ling Xiao, you defeated the 3 celestial venerates so quickly? The Immortal Clan's Royal Highness was also shocked as he stared at Ling Xiao coldly. Those were 3 celestial venerates. The Immortal Clan's Royal Highness originally thought that the 3 of them could delay Ling Xiao for a period of time, enough for him to refine the primordial heart. However, he did not expect that not only did Uncle Su delay a lot of time, but Ling Xiao also quickly defeated the 3 celestial venerates and returned here. Moreover, Ling Xiao's cultivation had also broken through to the peak Sage King realm. The Ling Xiao in front of him, the so-called Chosen One, had grown too quickly. Previously, Ling Xiao's cultivation was only in the Great Sage Perfection realm, but now he had broken through 2 realms consecutively, causing the Immortal Clan's Royal Highness to feel threatened. Immortal Clan's Royal Highness, it seems that I have disappointed you. The 3 celestial venerates have already been killed by me. I'm afraid it won't be that easy for you to refine the primordial heart safely. Ling Xiao said coldly. It doesn't matter. As long as I kill you, the primordial heart will still be mine. The Immortal Clan's Royal Highness said indifferently. His gaze fell on Ling Xiao, and his expression became serious. Ling Xiao had used his strength to win his respect. He had already begun to treat Ling Xiao as a powerful opponent. That's right. Kill me and the primordial heart will be yours. However, if I kill you, the primordial heart will belong to me. Ling Xiao said slowly, and an incomparably powerful battle intent emerged in his eyes. Ling Xiao, I have to say that your combat strength is indeed very strong. Although the 3 celestial venerates are useless, they actually couldn't delay you for long. However, don't think that you can defeat me just like that. The Immortal Clan's Royal Highness smiled faintly. He was enveloped in immortal light, and auspicious vapors rose. His entire aura became indifferent and ethereal. He was extraordinary, perfect, and flawless. No one dared to look at him directly. However, Ling Xiao felt an incomparable sense of danger from his body. We'll only know after the battle. Ling Xiao replied coldly. He stepped on the void and walked toward the Immortal Clan's Royal Highness step by step. Every step was very slow, but every step was very firm. It was as if he had stepped on the node of heaven and earth. It contained a vast power, and a majestic aura rose. The shadows of the 5 sacred beasts seemed to appear behind him. The ancestral dragon roared to the sky, the phoenix burned the sky, the white tiger fought the sky, the black tortoise covered the sky, and the qilin suppressed the sky. The 5 sacred beasts' auras were extremely terrifying. They supported Ling Zhao's body, causing him to exude the aura of a king. Clang. The Immortal Clan's Royal Highness and Ling Zhao's eyes collided. It was as if sparks were flying in all directions. A strong battle intent burst forth from both of them. Neither of them spoke, but the aura around them rose. Their battle intent grew stronger and stronger, as if an earth-shattering battle would erupt at any time. They both understood that this would be an earth-shattering battle. It would determine the ruler of the primordial heart, and it would also determine the fate of the future. Chapter 27:16. His Highness of the celestial race was surrounded by celestial light and auspicious energy. The seven-colored flames contained destructive fluctuations. His entire aura was rising like a resplendent sun. The sun had just risen and bloomed with millions of rays of light. Images of the 5 sacred beasts appeared behind Ling Zhao. Blazing divine light rose, and qi and blood converged, forming a powerful primal chaos dragon ancestor. It coiled around Ling Zhao, giving him a domineering and majestic aura. Both of their auras were rising rapidly like 2 bright suns, causing the void around them to vibrate violently. The huge underground cavern world was shaking as if it would collapse at any time. Just the clash of their auras had already caused such a terrifying commotion. He wondered what kind of scene it would be if the two of them were to truly fight. A mere doppelganger has such powerful combat strength. I wonder how strong his real body is? Ling Zhao thought to himself as he stared at the Celestial Highness. The Celestial Highness in front of him had an unfathomable cultivation base. Although he guessed that it was a doppelganger, he couldn't tell his real cultivation base. However, the pressure was everywhere. It was more terrifying than the combined aura of Celestial Venerable Huai, Celestial Venerable Rose, and Celestial Venerable Thorn. This was a formidable enemy. Let's fight. In the end, the Celestial Highness was the first to break the silence and attack Ling Zhao. Boom! He scolded softly. The celestial light around him was dazzling to the extreme. In an instant, his silhouette seemed to be ever-changing in the void, turning into billions of streaks of light, charging towards Ling Zhao. The sky was filled with terrifying palm prints. Tens of thousands of palm prints were like a roaring sea, attacking Ling Zhao from all directions at the same time, locking onto all the vital points on his body. Each of the millions of figures was like a real body, bursting forth with an attack comparable to a celestial venerable. Facing such a violent attack from the Celestial Highness, Ling Zhao's eyes shone brightly. He took a few steps forward, and the vast amount of qi and blood gathered around him. Finally, a huge fist print was formed and blasted out. Vast purple gas rose, spanning 30,000 miles, containing an immortal and eternal energy wave. When Ling Zhao threw out this punch, all the blood in his body seemed to be burning. His heart and head were both spewing out a blazing light, providing him with an almost unlimited amount of energy. This was the full power of the primordial immortal body, as if it could destroy everything. The two peerless geniuses didn't make a move, but once they did, it was an earth-shattering battle. Boom, boom, boom. The sky was filled with surging divine light, shattering the void like a spiderweb. The Celestial Highness figure was extremely fast, but half of the millions of figures were destroyed by Ling Zhao's punch. But the Celestial Highness figure. The remaining powerful attacks landed on Ling Zhao's body, causing the purple aura around him to rise. His body trembled as if it was about to shatter. In the blink of an eye, Ling Zhao, body. Ling. The primordial immortal body. By primordial immortal body. Without dodging. As soon as they exchanged blows, Ling Zhao spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was slightly pale. Ling He. Of course, unprecedentedly brightened brighter than ever before. There seemed to be the power of thunder rising from Ling Zhao's palm. His speed was extremely fast. After forcefully taking on the attack from the Immortal's Highness, the runes in his eyes spread out and he almost instantly locked onto the Immortal's Highness' true body. Then, he grabbed the air and directly grabbed the Immortal's Highness' arm. The reason he took the Celestial Highness attack head-on was not only because his primordial immortal body was extremely powerful, but also because he wanted to find the Celestial Highness' true body. Ling Zhao's strongest point was his physical body. He was sure that the Celestial Highness clone was extremely powerful, but it wasn't the real body. Therefore, it couldn't be too strong. If Ling Zhao wanted to use the advantage of his physical body, he had to fight the Celestial Highness in close combat. After Ling Zhao found the real body of His Majesty, he grabbed him by the arm and let out an earth-shattering dragon roar. Ancestral Dragon's Roar. This was the Dragon Clan's secret technique and also the most powerful ancestral dragon treasure technique. With the support of the ancestral dragon secret technique, an extremely terrifying energy fluctuation instantly erupted. It was like a storm that instantly spread out in all directions. The dragon's might was unparalleled and could destroy everything. The sound waves of the ancestral dragon roar were like the most terrifying storm. They instantly swept away the Celestial Highness clone. Then, Ling Zhao grabbed the Celestial Highness arm. Unparalleled divine power erupted from his body and he wanted to lift him up. Do you want to use the advantage of your physical body? But I've already said that you don't understand true power. The Celestial Highness' eyes flashed as he said coldly. After being lifted up by Ling Zhao, he didn't panic at all. Blazing immortal light rose around him as if there was a five-colored divine light surging out. His entire body was bathed in the five-colored light and emitted a mysterious fluctuation of origin. His other hand instantly became crystalline and translucent like jade, and he pointed a finger at the center of Ling Zhao's brows. The finger light was resplendent and fierce, and it contained the origin energy of the five elements, and it was fierce to the extreme. He took advantage of the momentum to soar into the air and kick Ling Zhao's neck. Seven-colored immortal fire circled around his foot and vaguely gathered together to form a mysterious seven-colored fire lotus. The Celestial Highness attack was untraceable, but he had the initiative at any time and place, erupting with his most powerful attack. Boom! Ling Zhao also pointed a finger. The vast power of time rose. The Age Annihilation finger shattered everything and collided with the Celestial Highness' five elements immortal jade finger. A resplendent halo suddenly exploded. Although the power of the five elements' origin was unparalleled, it was still obliterated by the power of time in the end. Moreover, as Ling Zhao circulated the power of time, a mysterious domain of time formed around him. The Celestial Highness' body instantly became incomparably stagnant. Ling Zhao kicked out. The sky-devouring fire spewed out and instantly collided with the seven-colored fire lotus. Endless fire origin exploded, causing Ling Zhao and the Celestial Highness to tremble violently. Both of them flew backward. Rumble! The battle between Ling Zhao and the Celestial Highness was incomparably intense from the beginning. It was like a battle of life and death. Every move was fatal and aimed at the opponent's vital points. It was extremely dangerous. Originally, this underground space was incomparably sturdy, with the imprints and formations left behind by the ancestors of the five great sacred beasts. However, in such an intense battle between Ling Zhao and the Celestial Highness, it began to tremble violently as if it was about to collapse. Zhu Baihua. Chapter 2717. The battle between Ling Zhao and the Immortal Highness was even more terrifying than a duel between two celestial masters. Both of them had mastered the power of the origin. Even if they were not as strong as real immortal emperors, they were far stronger than ordinary celestial masters. The primitive heart was located deep underground in the primitive mystery land. Not only was it enveloped by the chaotic flame sea, but it was also protected by endless natural illusions. Therefore, very few people had been able to find the whereabouts of the primitive heart for countless years. This was an extremely mysterious underground world. Because of the imprints of the five great sacred beast ancestors, it was extremely sturdy. Even a sage king would find it difficult to destroy. However, the battle between Ling Zhao and the Immortal Highness was too terrifying. The surrounding void trembled and huge rocks shattered. The underground world seemed like it would collapse at any moment. Rumble! Ling Zhao and the Immortal Highness clashed continuously in the void. They were like two dazzling balls of light. Every strike had an aura that could destroy the heavens and the earth. It had to be said that the Immortal Highness was the strongest opponent Ling Xiao had ever encountered. Not only did he master various powerful mystiques and precious techniques, but he also understood the power of the great Tao origin. He moved like lightning and was extremely powerful. Even if his physical body was slightly weaker, with the support of the great Tao origin, he was still evenly matched with Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao and the Immortal Highness exchanged hundreds of blows in an instant. Every strike had a monstrous power of qi and blood, causing the surrounding void to shatter. The void was filled with the roars of dragons and tigers. Chaotic fog rose. It was a scene of apocalypse. In the end, the underground world seemed to be unable to withstand the terrifying shockwaves of the battle. It shattered with a loud bang. It was as if a 1,000,000-foot-long crack had appeared on the ground. The world of the catacombs had collapsed, and the endless mountain rocks had turned into dust. Ling Xiao, the Celestial Highness, and the dazzling Chaos Heart had all appeared in the Chaos Secret Realm. "What is that?" Zhao Ritian, the old goat, and the others exclaimed in shock. Their eyes were filled with shock. They were worried about Ling Xiao and were about to charge into the Eternal Immortal Palace. However, they realized that the Eternal Immortal Palace had suddenly collapsed. The ground rumbled and shattered. Endless divine light spewed out from the depths of the ground. It was as if a sun was shining brightly. "Is that Ling Xiao and the Immortal Highness? They are fighting a great battle." Taoist Wu Yang's eyes flashed. He recognized the figures in the two light balls. They were Ling Xiao and His Highness of the Immortal Clan. On the other hand, the primeval heart rose up from the depths of the ground as well. It seemed to instantly devour the essence of the world, and it was coiled with divine chains of order. It emanated dazzling auspicious light, and it caused the entire secret realm to start trembling. After appearing in the Desolation secret zone, the Desolation's heart seemed to have turned into a resplendent vortex, gathering all the origin energy within a radius of 1,000,000 kilometers. It was an extremely terrifying sight. The great Desolation's heart beat violently. Every beat caused the great Tao of heaven and earth to tremble. Dazzling runes condensed, and endless Tao and reason intertwined. Even the sun in the 9 heavens lost its luster. Even the most ignorant people knew that the great Desolation's heart was a supreme treasure. Ling Xiao and the Immortal Highness seemed to be fighting over that crystal. The battle between them is too terrifying. We can't help them, but maybe we can snatch that crystal. Zhao Ritian's eyes lit up as he said slowly, "That's right. That crystal must be a peerless treasure." I could feel the blood in my body boiling as if it was about to burst into flames. No matter what, that crystal must not fall into the hands of the Immortal Highness. The old goat said fiercely, "Bush, bush, bush." However, just as they finished speaking, a few hundred figures with terrifying auras flew out of the shattered Eternal Immortal Palace. Each of them was at the Saint Realm, and there were even a dozen Saint Kings among them. Their eyes were extremely cold, filled with hostility and murderous intent. They seemed to treat Zhao Ritian and the others as their enemies. After flying out of the shattered Eternal Immortal Palace, they immediately charged toward them. Zhao Ritian and the old goat recognized them. They were the guards of the Eternal Immortal Palace. Even the powerful Saint Kings were probably the subordinates of the Immortal Highness of the Immortal Clan. Fortunately, there were no heavenly venerables among them. As long as there were no heavenly venerables, they were not much of a threat to Zhao Ritian, the old goat, and the others. "Kill them all and take that treasure." Zhao Ritian's eyes flashed with murderous intent. Instantly, he wielded the heavenly Tao Emperor sword. Vast sword will rose around him as he charged toward the hundreds of experts. "Kill!" The old goat, Taoist Wu Yang, Long Outyin, and the others looked at each other. Then, they unleashed their powerful mystiques and joined in the battle. The commotion at the Eternal Immortal Palace was too great. Almost instantly, many experts in the Chaos Secret Territory were alerted. The experts in the Chaos Secret Territory all raised their heads and looked in the direction of the Eternal Immortal Palace in shock. They did not know what was going on. "Hurry to the Eternal Immortal Palace." Someone dares to fight in the eternal immortal palace. They are provoking the immortal highness. They deserve to die. In the chaos secret territory, within a powerful ancient clan, the clan leader with a terrifying aura soared into the sky. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. Protect the eternal immortal palace. Protect the immortal highness. Many experts of the ancient clan leaped up and followed the clan leader in the direction of the eternal immortal palace. Even though the immortal highness had entered the chaos secret territory a month earlier than Ling Xiao, he had still managed to subdue several powerful ancient clans with his unfathomable cultivation base and methods. These ancient clans had become the vassals of the immortal race. The Purple Moon God clan was one of them. Even though the Purple Moon God clan had already been annihilated, when the powerful ancient clans that had been subdued by the immortal highness sensed the change in the eternal immortal palace, they all rushed over to protect the immortal highness. The entire chaos secret territory seemed to have been thrown into chaos because of the battle between Ling Xiao and the immortal highness. At this moment, on a mountain peak not far from the eternal immortal palace, Zi Ninger was watching the battle between Ling Xiao and the immortal highness with a complicated and frenzied look in her eyes. Let's fight. Let the entire chaos secret territory be buried with the Purple Moon God clan. Zi Ninger roared in her heart. She had brought the three heavenly masters to the eternal immortal palace. However, because the three heavenly masters had surrounded Zhao Ritian and the others, they did not have the time to deal with her. Zi Ninger did not run away either. She hid outside the eternal immortal palace and observed everything that was happening. However, she did not expect Ling Xiao's cultivation base to be so terrifying. The three heavenly masters could not even withstand a single blow from Ling Xiao. Before long, they were all killed by Ling Xiao. Third Sect Master. Chapter 27:18. Zi Ninger had mixed feelings about Ling Xiao. She hated Ling Xiao for killing her grandfather, Zi Fenglai, and so many elders and clansmen of the Purple Moon Divine Clan. However, the three celestial lords had exterminated the Purple Moon Divine Clan, and Ling Xiao had killed the three celestial lords. It could be said that he had avenged the Purple Moon Divine Clan. She did not know if she should hate Ling Xiao or be grateful to him. After all, it was Zi Fenglai and the others who wanted to steal Ling Xiao's heavenly fate. Ling Xiao did not do anything wrong. Zi Ninger had been tormented by hatred and pain. The only thing that kept her alive was to avenge the Purple Moon Divine Clan. However, the funny thing was that the person who was avenging the Purple Moon Divine Clan was also an enemy of the Purple Moon Divine Clan. Zi Ninger was almost crazy now. She even hoped that the Eldritch Mystery Realm would fall into chaos and everyone would be buried with the Purple Moon Divine Clan. Therefore, she hoped that the two of them would perish together as she watched the battle between Ling Xiao and the Immortal Clan's Highness. The entire Eldritch Mystery Realm seemed to have fallen into chaos because of the destruction of the Eternal Heavenly Palace. Countless people were alarmed by the scene of the battle and rushed towards the Eternal Heavenly Palace. Everyone had different thoughts. Some wanted to take advantage of the chaos, some wanted to watch the show, and some wanted to protect the Immortal Clan's Highness. As for the warriors in the Eternal Heavenly Palace, they wanted to surround Zhao Ritian and the others. However, they were all killed very quickly. Without a heavenly venerate expert, even a sage ruler would not be able to cause any harm to Zhao Ritian. The Heavenly Tao Emperor Sword and the Flame Emperor Cauldron swept across the void and quickly slaughtered all the experts. Some of the people who rushed to the Eternal Immortal Palace wanted to take advantage of the situation. However, after Zhao Ritian killed a Sage King, no one dared to do anything to Zhao Ritian and the others. Everyone was in a state of alert as they watched the battle between Ling Xiao and the Immortal Clan's Highness in the sky. As for the powerful ancient clans that had been subdued by the Immortal Clan's Highness, although many experts had arrived, they were shocked to find that they could not interfere in the battle between Ling Xiao and the Immortal Clan's Highness. Saints and Supreme Saints were swept by the shockwaves of the great battle and instantly turned into bloody mists. Even Saint Kings would be severely injured in an instant. They did not comprehend the source power of the great Tao. Even Empyreans would find it hard to interfere in a battle of this level. As for the Great Desolation's heart, everyone could tell that it was a supreme treasure. Although many people's eyes burned with greed, no one dared to snatch it. Strangely, the battlefield had become calm. The expected chaotic battle did not break out. Everyone was very cautious. They all stared at the battle between Ling Xiao and the Immortal Highness, quietly waiting for the result of this battle. Ling Xiao and the Immortal Majesty fought in the sky. It was like two stars colliding with each other, erupting with blazing divine light. Endless lightning swept in all directions, shattering large swaths of space. The fighting spirit of the two of them had risen to the extreme. Various powerful techniques emerged one after another, attacking the other in an attempt to completely annihilate the other. Ling Zhao's face became very pale. There was blood at the corner of his mouth, but his eyes were extremely bright. His body was as straight as a divine sword. The fighting spirit in his eyes had risen to the extreme. This was an extremely difficult battle. The battle between Ling Xiao and the Immortal Highness made Ling Xiao feel unprecedentedly difficult. The Immortal Highness was unfathomable. The Immortal Highness's immortal skills were extremely strange. In a short time, Ling Xiao and the Immortal Highness had exchanged thousands of blows. Ling Xiao also suffered heavy injuries. The Immortal Highness was even more shocked. After all, Ling Xiao had just broken through to the Saint King realm. He had already comprehended the Great Tao origin and reached the Supreme Emperor realm. Although this was only a clone and his cultivation was only at the Celestial Venerable realm, a Celestial Venerable who had comprehended the Great Tao origin was not comparable to an ordinary Celestial Venerable. He could kill a Celestial Venerable with a wave of his hand. Previously, the imprint that the Immortal Highness had left on by Ling forced Ling Xiao to use his full strength. He had even used the Epic Fist. However, in just 3 days, Ling Xiao's strength had skyrocketed by dozens of times. The Immortal Highness finally felt the power of the chosen son. This heaven's chosen child, whom he had never taken seriously, had displayed astonishing potential and talent, which made him feel a great deal of pressure. Ling Xiao, your physical body is indeed very strong. However, you have not comprehended the Great Tao origin. Next, I will show you how powerful the Great Tao origin will be. Compared to me, you are just a firefly to the bright moon. The Immortal Highness said coldly. Immortal Highness, do you only know how to talk? So what if you have the Great Tao origin? If I become an emperor, killing you will be as easy as slaughtering a dog. Ling Xiao laughed coldly. The battle intent in his eyes surged. The qi and blood all over his body gathered together. In an instant, the roar of a dragon rose and turned into a fist full of yang energy, charging towards the Immortal Clan's highness. Kill me? You are courting death. His Highness of the Celestial Clan was incomparably cold. 7-colored light flickered in his palm. Mysterious flames rose and condensed into a 7-colored lotus in an instant. It contained the origin power of the great path of the 5 elements, yin and yang. Boom! As he struck out with his palm, the 7-colored lotus flew slowly toward Ling Xiao. In an instant, the surrounding sea of fire boiled and surged, completely locking Ling Xiao in place. Is this the 7-colored immortal lotus fire that Uncle Su mentioned? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He remembered that Uncle Su had warned him to be careful of the Immortal Highness' 7-colored immortal lotus fire. He sensed the quintessence energy of the grand Tao of yin, yang, metal, wood, water, fire, and earth from within the 7-colored celestial lotus flame. Every single one of them was pure, dazzling, and dazzling. When they gathered together, they seemed capable of incinerating everything. Ling Xiao did not dare to be careless. In an instant, he shifted the void, wanting to leave the range of the 7-colored immortal lotus fire. However, the 7-colored immortal lotus fire followed him like a shadow. It completely locked Ling Xiao in place. Moreover, it was extremely fast. In an instant, it was in front of him. Break! Ling Xiao shouted softly. In an instant, the sky-devouring fire surged out and turned into a huge flame dragon. It suddenly collided with the seven-colored immortal lotus fire. Rumble. Although the sky-devouring fire also contained the great Tao origin of fire, it was obviously not as powerful as the seven-colored immortal lotus fire. The huge flame dragon that the sky-devouring fire had transformed into collapsed with a loud bang. Above the seven-colored immortal lotus fire, two more divine lights emerged, turning the seven-colored immortal lotus fire into 9 colors in an instant. The 9-colored immortal lotus fire, like a beam of light, instantly pierced through Ling Zhao's forehead. It poured into Ling Zhao's sea of consciousness and began to burn fiercely. P.S. End of 6th update. Everyone, rest early. Zhu Baihua. Chapter 27:19. The 9-colored immortal lotus fire was the supreme immortal fire of the immortal clan. It contained the supreme power to destroy the universe, create all things, and reopen the chaos. The legendary 9-colored immortal lotus fire could even incinerate a supreme emperor. The 9-colored immortal lotus fire used by the immortal clan's royal highness was actually based on the 7-colored immortal lotus fire. Although it was not as powerful as the real 9-colored immortal lotus fire, it was enough to destroy any Saint Wei expert. Ling Xiao was no exception. Rumble. The 9-colored immortal lotus fire was bright and mysterious. It surged into Ling Zhao's primordial spirit and started to burn fiercely. Even though Ling Zhao's physical body was strong and he had the primordial immortal body, he would soon be turned into ashes if he allowed the 9-colored immortal lotus fire to burn him. Ling Zhao's expression was extremely calm, without the slightest hint of panic. A vast and powerful vortex appeared in his sea of consciousness, exuding a mysterious 9-colored light. A mysterious heavenly book flew out from it. It was the wordless heavenly book that had merged into Ling Zhao's head. As soon as the wordless heavenly book appeared, the 9-colored immortal lotus fire was swallowed up by the wordless heavenly book. The wordless heavenly book emitted a bright light. Endless propitious vapors rose from it and immortal light lingered around it. It actually manifested an ancient secret skill. Heavenly Spirit Rank 18, Celestial Immortal Secret Skill. Beams of bright immortal light gathered and turned into golden runes. They gathered together to form an extremely mysterious secret skill and merged into Ling Zhao's primordial spirit. The wordless heavenly book contained 108 secret techniques. However, because the wordless heavenly book was too damaged, other than the 12 sky arts secret techniques, the other heavenly spirits and earthly fiends' secret techniques could only be manifested with boundless origin energy and certain conditions. When Ling Xiao felt the threat of the 9-colored immortal lotus fire, he made a prompt decision to take the risk and lure it into his primordial spirit to allow the wordless heavenly book to devour it. Indeed, the wordless heavenly book had manifested the celestial immortal secret skill that was ranked 18th in the heavenly spirit rank. What? Shock appeared on the face of the celestial race's royal highness. He was no longer as indifferent and calm as before. He was in disbelief. That was the supreme immortal fire of the immortal race, the 9-colored immortal lotus fire. Now that it had entered Ling Zhao's sea of consciousness, Ling Xiao was dead for sure. Even if he had an extreme Tao monarch weapon, it would be useless. However, he did not expect the 9-colored immortal lotus fire to disappear so strangely. This is the wordless heavenly book? The immortal clan's royal highness shuddered, and his eyes revealed a trace of blazing light. He finally remembered. Legend had it that the chosen one, Ling Xiao, had the wordless heavenly book, a chaos supreme treasure. From the looks of it, only the wordless heavenly book could devour the 9-colored immortal lotus fire so stealthily. This was because the wordless heavenly book contained an origin secret technique of the immortal clan. Rumble. Ling Zhao's body suddenly emitted resplendent immortal light. His entire body emitted an incomparably pure and holy aura. Golden runes seemed to shoot out from his eyes, making him look dignified and mysterious. He actually emitted an aura somewhat similar to the immortal's majesty. Heavenly immortal secret technique? Could this be the immortal clan's natal secret technique? Ling Zhao's heart skipped a beat, and a strange look appeared in his eyes. Although he had just obtained the heavenly immortal secret technique and had not had the time to cultivate it, he could feel that the heavenly immortal secret technique contained an origin energy that was extremely similar to the immortal clan's royal highness. Moreover, with the support of the heavenly immortal secret technique, the immortal clan's royal highness before him became less mysterious. Ling Zhao could clearly sense that he had the cultivation of a heavenly venerable. It seemed that the so-called immortal clan's so-called immortal power had not transcended the 3,000 great Daos. It was still below the heavenly way, but it was slightly more special. Ling Zhao, you were able to break my 9-colored immortal lotus fire with the help of the wordless heavenly book, right? After all, relying on external objects is not your own strength. The immortal clan's royal highness stared coldly at Ling Zhao. External objects are also a part of one's strength. Isn't your 9-colored immortal lotus fire also an external object? Ling Zhao smiled faintly, and his gaze was incomparably deep. His body exuded an ethereal and otherworldly aura. Immortal light filled his eyes and runes pulsed. They contained a power that could see through everything, which made the immortal clan's royal highness very uncomfortable. Ling Zhao was originally just an ant in the eyes of the immortal clan's royal highness, but now he actually gave the immortal clan's royal highness an extremely strange feeling. It was as if Ling Zhao's body was beginning to exude the unique aura of the immortal clan. You're lucky that the 9-colored immortal lotus fire was not able to kill you. I won't be merciful from now on. Try my immortal king // The immortal clan's royal highness said coldly, and a cold, killing intent burst out from his eyes. Rumble! The immortal light around him instantly surged, containing an extremely blazing killing intent. 7-colored immortal fire bloomed around him. The flames burned fiercely, causing the surrounding void to begin to distort. Furnace of heaven and earth. As the immortal clan's royal highness shouted softly, the sky instantly changed color, and the sun and moon lost their light. The 7-colored immortal fire around him soared into the sky, turning into an ancient furnace that burned with raging flames. In the raging flames, it condensed into a peerless saber light. The aura around the immortal clan's royal highness became fierce and domineering. Boom, boom, boom. He walked towards Ling Zhao step by step, and the vast momentum of heaven and earth burst forth. The furnace of heaven and earth trembled violently, and there seemed to be a peerless blade light hidden within it. Before it appeared, it had already locked onto Ling Zhao. A cold light flashed in Ling Zhao's eyes. After he felt that the saber light had locked onto him, all the hair on his body began to stand on end, and the vitality in his body seemed to have stagnated. The furnace of heaven and earth was formed by the Great Tao Law. The Great Tao Law was integrated into the Peerless Tao Will, and it contained a peerless saber intent. This was the immortal clan's supreme immortal technique, the Immortal King // Celestial Emperor Prison Suppression Technique. Ling Zhao also shouted loudly, and a vast divine light surged around him. In the endless chaotic fog, the mysterious shadow of the great emperor appeared, exuding a peerless power that could suppress hell and sweep across the heavens. This was the peerless emperor technique of the heavenly prison scripture. Ling Zhao had obtained the complete inheritance of the heavenly prison great emperor, and even refined a heart of the heavenly prison great emperor, which allowed him to improve by leaps and bounds when comprehending the heavenly prison scripture. He was able to erupt with the terrifying power of this peerless emperor technique. In the face of the pressure from the immortal clan's royal highness, Ling Zhao did not hesitate to use the celestial emperor prison suppression technique. In an instant, hundreds of millions of thunderbolts bloomed in the void, and the surrounding void trembled violently. Ling Zhao and the immortal clan's royal highness leaped up at the same time, and suddenly collided in the void. Chapter 2720. Ling Zhao's Celestial Emperor's prison suppression art contained a primitive, ancient, mighty, and domineering aura. It was the Celestial Prison Emperor who wanted to suppress the world, sweep through the 9 heavens, and cleanse all the demons and monsters in hell. It was an aura that could resist the universe. Facing the heaven and earth furnace in the void, Ling Xiao was not at a disadvantage at all. He clashed violently with the furnace, erupting with earth-shattering divine light waves. Boom! In the end, the heaven and earth furnace shattered with a loud bang. An extremely blazing blade light rushed out of the heaven and earth furnace in an instant, illuminating the world. It contained the aura of the heavenly Tao as it slashed toward Ling Xiao. The resplendent immortal light illuminated everything, like an eternal existence that could shatter everything. The Emperor's shadow was directly destroyed by the blade. The speed of the blade light was extremely fast. It almost instantly arrived in front of Ling Xiao, illuminating his eyes, and then directly piercing through his body. Blood flashed, and Ling Xiao's body instantly shattered, turning into ashes in the void. Something's not right. The Immortal's Highness's eyes flashed sharply. He suddenly felt a strong threat coming from behind him. Without thinking, he leaped up and kicked out in the air. The tip of his foot could pierce through everything. The resplendent immortal light instantly illuminated Ling Xiao's face. Ling Xiao's eyes were sharp, and the battle intent around him rose, exuding a vast ripple of time. He pointed a finger in the air, and the time annihilation finger exploded with a strong killing intent, silently arriving behind the Immortal's Highness. As it turned out, what was destroyed by the heaven and earth furnace was only an afterimage of Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao's secret teleportation technique had long been cultivated to the realm of perfection. Even the celestial race's highness did not notice. Rumble. Although the Immortal's Highness was extremely fast, Ling Xiao followed him like a shadow. The boundless power of time surged, forming a time domain that slowed down the Immortal's Highness. Ling Xiao pointed at the foot of the Immortal Highness. Suddenly, a bright immortal light exploded. The Immortal Highness looked like he was struck by lightning. He was sent flying. At the same time, an extremely strange power of time surged into his body from the tip of his foot. It wanted to rush into his sea of consciousness, causing him to become numb. Your Highness of the Immortals, take my fist of the epic. The battle intent in Ling Xiao's eyes soared. Instead of retreating, he advanced. His entire being was like a violent bolt of lightning. In an instant, he charged towards the immortal race majesty. A peerless fist imprint exploded in front of the immortal race majesty. Chaos was created, the universe reversed, and the heavens were destroyed. Billions of lives were turned into dust, and civilizations appeared one after another. Then, they went from glory to decline, buried by time, giving birth to one epic after another. Ling Xiao's punch contained the power to destroy epics. It seemed to surpass time and space, becoming an eternal existence. That kind of vast fist intent caused the Immortal Clan's highness to instantly become incomparably solemn. Ling Xiao had once used the fist of the epic to defeat the immortal race majesty's branded clone. Back then, Ling Xiao's fist of the epic was powerful, but the immortal race majesty did not take it seriously. However, after condensing the Tree of Saints, Ling Xiao's fist of the epic seemed to have undergone some sort of transformation. It had become complete and contained the most terrifying killing intent. Nature is craft. His Highness of the Celestial Clan roared angrily. Endless celestial light gathered around him. In a hurry, a beam of celestial light of creation gushed out in an instant. It contained a blazing saber aura and slashed toward Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao's punch landed on the blade of light. Terrifying blade intent surged. The light from the blade was like an ocean, instantly slicing through Ling Xiao's skin and reducing his flesh to nothingness. However, Ling Xiao's fist bone was as clear as crystal. It contained the ripples of eternity, directly blasting the blade of light apart. Nature of Tao. The immortal race majesty took the opportunity to put some distance between himself and Ling Xiao. His eyes were filled with incomparably cold killing intent. He had never thought that Ling Xiao would be able to force him to this extent. Even the Immortal King's 3 severing slashes could not do anything to Ling Xiao's fist of the epic. Even when Ling Xiao had used the Supreme Emperor technique, he had not felt such terrifying pressure. The immortal race majesty's heart was boiling with killing intent. Ling Xiao had already walked his own path, and he had done so in the Supreme Saint Realm. After all, even the immortal race majesty, a genius, had only understood his own Tao and the origin of power when he was in the celestial venerable realm. From there, he had broken through and stepped into the imperial emperor realm. Although he did not want to admit it, he had to admit that Ling Xiao's talent was too terrifying. Since such a person could not be subdued, he would definitely be a great enemy of the immortal race in the future. He could not be allowed to live. Rumble. The immortal race majesty's body was incomparably ethereal. His entire being seemed to have become one with the great Tao of heaven and earth. Nature of Tao was naturally the most powerful move in the immortal king's 3 severing slashes. The immortal race majesty was confident that he could severely injure Ling Xiao with this peerless saber technique. The surrounding void resonated, and the vast great Tao laws began to appear. Resplendent runes filled the air, and divine chains of order traversed the void. Terrifying saber intents bloomed one after another. In an instant, billions of resplendent saber lights bloomed from all directions, from every corner of the world. Those were sabers of the great Tao that contained the strongest origin power. They attacked Ling Xiao indiscriminately, wanting to kill him directly. Nature of Tao was the fusion of one's own body and the great Tao. The fusion of saber intents and the great Tao formed billions of sabers of the great Tao that could kill gods and devils in their way. In the process of conquering the heavens, the immortal race majesty had used the immortal king's 3 severing slashes to kill countless sage kings and even celestial venerables. Boom! Ling Xiao was instantly drowned by billions of sabers of the great Tao. Endless runes rose, and the divine chains of order were annihilated, forming an extremely terrifying chaotic storm that swept in all directions. Dozens of sages who were slightly closer to the battlefield between Ling Xiao and the immortal race majesty exploded into a bloody mist in the void. They were completely annihilated by the storm. Even those powerful great sages and sage kings trembled violently, spitting out blood. Their faces were extremely pale, and their eyes were filled with shock. They were already hundreds of miles away, but almost all of them died in the aftermath of the battle between Ling Xiao and the immortal race majesty. This kind of battle was too terrifying. However, the great chaos heart was still floating in the void, as resplendent as the sun. No matter how intense the battle between Ling Xiao and the immortal race majesty was, it could not affect it at all. Chapter 27-21. At this moment, no one dared to get involved in this battle. Although some people were drooling over the chaos heart, they did not dare to make any moves. The Immortal King's 3 ultimate slashes is a secret technique of the Immortal Tribe. Only the direct descendants of the Immortal Tribe can cultivate it. It can slay gods, demons, heaven, and earth. It's extremely terrifying. I hope he can block this slash. Taoist Wu Yang's eyes were filled with worry. Even he did not have any confidence in facing the Immortal Tribe's highness. The Immortal Tribe's foundation was too terrifying. The Immortal Tribe's highness had endless tricks up his sleeves. Although Ling Xiao seemed to have the upper hand in this battle, it was actually extremely difficult. The Tao of Nature. This slash has already merged with the heavenly Tao of Nature. It's unavoidable and one can only take it head-on. However, I still believe in Ling Xiao. He will definitely be able to defeat the Immortal Tribe's highness. Zhao Ritian's eyes flashed. Although his expression was solemn, he still spoke in a serious tone. He could see how terrifying the last slash of the Immortal King's 3 ultimate slashes was. Ling Xiao was no longer fighting against the Immortal Tribe's highness. He was fighting against the heavenly Tao of all things. This was destined to be an extremely difficult battle. Rumble. The divine light that filled the sky dissipated, revealing the figures of Ling Xiao and the Immortal Tribe's highness. Ling Xiao's flesh and blood had all disappeared. Only a transparent skeleton was left. It looked as clear as crystal and contained immortal fluctuations. It was mysterious and unfathomable. However, in Ling Xiao's chest, there was a heart that was as resplendent as the sun beating. It contained boundless life essence, providing Ling Xiao with endless energy. Ling Xiao's punch had directly penetrated the immortal tribe's highness chest. The epical fist was invincible. Almost half of the immortal tribe's highness body had completely disappeared. The two of them had actually suffered great losses. It was extremely tragic. The immortal tribe's highness face was pale. Cold light surged in his eyes and his killing intent was boiling. However, he could not hide the trace of shock in his eyes. He knew better than anyone how terrifying the Tao of nature was. When the billions of great Tao blades fell, they could destroy everything in an instant. Even a heavenly sovereign would die without a doubt. Other than an extreme Tao Emperor weapon, there was no other weapon that could block the great Tao blades. Although Ling Xiao's flesh and blood had disappeared, his skeleton was not damaged at all. Not even a mark was left behind. It was still translucent and radiated with immortal energy. Ling Xiao's heart, in particular, contained an incomparably mysterious energy fluctuation, causing the Celestial Highness's entire body to tremble. He could feel that it was definitely an incomparably powerful treasure. At this moment he was even a little jealous of Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao had too many treasures on him, and every one of them was an earth-shattering treasure that made countless people drool. However, Ling Xiao's combat strength was also extremely terrifying. Ling Xiao had just broken through to the peak Saint King realm, yet he was able to fight him to this extent, causing him to suffer unimaginable injuries. The Celestial Highness looked very miserable at this moment. He no longer had the carefree temperament he had before. Half of his body had completely turned into nothingness. If he had not moved to the side at the crucial moment, Ling Xiao's epic punch would have shattered his head, shattered his sea of consciousness, and destroyed his primordial spirit. It looked like both of them were injured, and Ling Xiao seemed to be in an even more miserable state. There was not even a trace of flesh and blood left. However, the Celestial Highness knew that he was still at a disadvantage. The damage that Ling Xiao had caused him was irreversible. After all, this clone of his was not his original body. It did not have an incomparably abnormal recovery ability like Ling Xiao. Rumble. Ling Xiao and the Celestial Highness both trembled and were sent flying at the same time. Ling Xiao's heart beat violently. It was like a sun spewing out endless light, spewing out endless life origin. Vast amounts of vitality condensed, and Ling Xiao's flesh and blood began to heal at a speed visible to the naked eye. Soon he was as good as new. Although the Heavenly Way's attack was terrifying, Ling Xiao's primordial immortal body was even more abnormal. His head was protected by the wordless Heavenly Book, and his heart was formed by the good fortune jade disc. The great Tao blade could not cause fatal damage to him. On the other hand, the Celestial Highness was not so relaxed. Although he had also recovered in an instant, his face was still very pale, and his aura was much weaker. Kill! Kill! Ling Xiao and the Celestial Highness looked at each other. Murderous intent flashed in their eyes, and a fierce battle broke out at the same time. The two of them had fought to a frenzied state. There was no need for words at this moment. They could only continue to fight and kill each other. They would use the life and blood of one side to end this battle. The Celestial Highness did not want to lose, and Ling Xiao could not lose either. Both of them were surrounded by boundless fortune. Although it couldn't be seen, it was real, and it determined their future achievements and the heights they could reach. Especially Ling Xiao, who had the Heavenly Way's fate. If he lost this battle, much of his Heavenly Way's fate would be stolen by the Celestial Highness. Rumble. Ling Xiao and the Celestial Highness both used their most powerful attacks. All kinds of divine abilities and secret techniques emerged one after another. In the end, Ling Xiao used the Heavenly Way's prison monument, while the Celestial Highness used an immortal sword that was comparable to a powerful extreme Tao Emperor weapon. Every attack contained the power to destroy heaven and earth. With Ling Xiao and the Celestial Highness at the center, the land within 10,000 miles of them was reduced to dust. Mountains collapsed one after another, towering ancient trees fell down one after another, the ground sank and the rivers flowed in reverse, forming a vast ocean. The Celestial Highness had the supreme immortal technique of the Celestial Highness. His strength was unfathomable. He could kill celestial venerables, sweep across the heavens, and subdue dozens of greater worlds. Ling Xiao was also the chosen one. He had the heavenly way's fate and received the inheritance of several great emperors. He had even walked his own path and understood the origin of the great Tao. The battle between the two was like a battle of fate. Victory and defeat had to be decided, and life and death had to be determined. In the end, Ling Xiao and the Celestial Highness went a little crazy. The two of them seemed like they were going to perish together. Boom! When Ling Xiao and the Celestial Highness collided violently again and flew backward, the Celestial Highness's eyes revealed a trace of cold killing intent. He suddenly roared, "Eternal unmoving chaos immortal technique." The Celestial Highness gushed out billions of rays of immortal light. In an instant, an extremely strange rune appeared above Ling Xiao's head and imprinted itself between his eyebrows. The rune blossomed with 9 colored rays of light. Like 9 divine chains of order, it instantly pierced through Ling Xiao's body and imprisoned him. The Celestial Highness's eyes were filled with cold killing intent. Surrounded by billions of rays of immortal light, he was like an eternal immortal emperor. He ruled over the chaos and destroyed everything. With an unparalleled shattering power, he suppressed Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao instantly fell into the threat of death. P.S. Third update. There was a power outage in my hometown. I finally finished writing the third update before my computer ran out of battery. Everyone, rest early. M. Chapter 27-22. The Eternal Unmovable Chaos Immortal Technique was the ultimate killing move of the Immortals. It contained the Immortals' greatest secrets. Eternity meant eternal immortality. Immobility meant being as immovable as a mountain, breaking through all illusions. Only I'm real. Chaos was the origin of the heavens, the foundation of all worlds, and the sea of creation that encompassed everything. The Immortal Highness had been pushed to the limit by Ling Xiao. That was why he had used the Eternal Unmovable Chaos Immortal Technique. He had even used a powerful immortal talisman called the Immortal Fixing Talisman, which could imprison one's primordial spirit and physical body. Its power was unparalleled. The Eternal Unmovable Chaos Immortal Technique and the Immortal Fixing Talisman were enough to kill a heavenly venerable expert. Rumble! Endless immortal light bloomed in the void, containing a mighty power that could shatter everything. It pressed down on Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao's entire body was imprisoned by the Immortal Fixing Talisman. It was as if his thoughts had stopped, and his physical body and vitality had frozen. He had lost all ability to resist. Oh no! Taoist Wu Yang's expression changed, and his eyes filled with anxiety. He was the one who understood the Immortals the best. Naturally, he knew how terrifying the Eternal Unmovable Chaos Immortal Technique and the Immortal Fixing Talisman were. Both of them had exploded at the same time. It meant that the Immortal Highness had used his most powerful killing move. Would Ling Xiao be able to escape this fatal attack? Is the victor going to be decided? The surrounding crowd couldn't help but tremble, and their eyes shone brightly. The battle between Ling Xiao and the Immortal Highness had alarmed almost all the experts in the wilderness secret realm. Whether it was the powerful ancient tribes subdued by the Immortal Highness or those who wanted to fish in troubled waters, everyone was guessing the outcome of this battle. Now, it seemed that Ling Xiao was going to lose. Not only would he lose, but he would also die. Rumble! Ling Xiao was instantly drowned in endless immortal light. The immortal light contained the power of destruction, and chaos. It frantically wiped out Ling Xiao's vitality. The Eternal Unmovable Chaos Immortal Technique, supported by the Immortal Highness's origin power, was terrifying to the extreme. It even contained a powerful Emperor's aura. Even with Ling Xiao's powerful physical body and the primordial immortal body, it began to shatter little by little. His flesh and blood turned into ashes almost instantly. Even his incomparably strong bones began to crack. In the end, they exploded with a loud bang. In the endless immortal light, only a head and a beating heart were left. The terrifying immortal light wanted to tear Ling Zhao's heart apart. It even rushed into Ling Zhao's head, completely destroying his primordial spirit. Boom! However, Ling Zhao's heart and head seemed to have felt a strong threat. They instantly emitted a bright light as if a vortex had appeared. The soul fixation immortal talisman was swept away by the vortex and disappeared in an instant. The immortal light that filled the sky also surged violently and was directly swallowed by the vortex. Rumble! In the void, Ling Zhao's figure seemed to have disappeared completely. All that was left was a huge chaotic vortex, emitting an aura that could devour everything. Vaguely, a mysterious immortal light escaped from it. After the eternal unmoving chaos immortal art and the immortal fixing talisman were broken, the immortal highness seemed to have suffered a great backlash. He could not help but let out a muffled groan. His face instantly turned pale, and he was directly sent flying. Is Ling Zhao dead? Everyone shuddered as the same question emerged in their hearts. Ling Zhao seemed to have disappeared, but the chaotic vortex in the void was extremely strange. It seemed to be nurturing an extremely mysterious energy fluctuation. At this moment, a blazing bolt of lightning shot up from the chaotic vortex. The vast origin energy in the surroundings gathered, instantly condensing into Ling Zhao's figure. Then, it pressed down on the immortal's majesty. Ling Zhao's gaze was extremely sharp and contained an icy killing intent. The epic fist contained the supreme power to reopen the chaos and destroy the epic. It was majestic and mighty as it charged towards the immortal highness. The immortal highness eternal undying chaos immortal art and the immortal fixing talisman were extremely terrifying. They had caused Ling Zhao to suffer an unimaginable injury. He could not even use his extreme Dao Emperor weapon. If not for the fact that his head and heart were both formed from the supreme treasure of chaos, which allowed him to activate the origin energy of the supreme treasure of chaos at the critical moment and break through the immortal fixing talisman and the eternal indestructible chaos immortal technique, Ling Zhao would have been completely annihilated. The immortal highness was too terrifying. Therefore, Ling Zhao did not hold back at all. He took advantage of the moment when the immortal highness was suffering from the backlash to suppress him with the epic fist. "You're not dead." The immortal highness was shocked as well. His eyes were filled with disbelief. He knew better than anyone how terrifying the eternal indestructible primal chaos immortal skill was. Logically speaking, Ling Zhao should have been completely annihilated. Even the wordless heavenly book, which was just an incomplete primal chaos treasure, should not have been able to withstand it. Thus, Ling Zhao still had a flawless chaos treasure on him. The immortal highness trembled all over. His eyes shone with a blazing light. However, he did not have time to think in the face of Ling Zhao's attack. The blazing immortal light around him rose and condensed into a dazzling fist print that met Ling Zhao's attack. Rumble! The immortal highness fist print suddenly shattered. Ling Zhao's fist landed on the immortal highness chest, causing him to tremble violently. In an instant, spiderweb-like cracks appeared all over his body. He coughed out blood and was sent flying. "The heavens are on my side," Ling Zhao said coldly. He punched out in the air, and the sound of explosions rang out in the air. Blazing light gushed out, and his whole body exuded an incomparably powerful aura. He was invincible. The immortal highness seemed to have been severely injured. He was now completely at a disadvantage and was sent flying again by Ling Zhao. How can Ling Zhao be so strong? He didn't die under the immortal highness' powerful attack. The followers of the immortal highness all had ugly expressions on their faces. They could not believe it. The world is going to change. No matter which one of them dies, it will be a disaster for the untainted mystery land. Among the spectators, there were a few powerful celestial venerables. They were considered the overlords of the untainted mystery land, but their eyes were filled with worry. Ling Zhao and the immortal highness combat strength was too terrifying. Each of them had the strength to kill a celestial venerable. They felt greatly threatened and pressured. It's best if both of them are injured and die at the same time. Someone sneered in a low voice. These overlords of the untainted Mystery Land all stood at the pinnacle of the untainted Mystery Land. They controlled the life and death of countless living beings. However, Ling Xiao and the Immortal Highness' combat strength made them feel uneasy. They did not want any major changes to the untainted Mystery Land. It was best to maintain the status quo. Chapter 27-23. Ling Xiao, don't you want the Chaos Heart? What do you think will happen if I destroy the Chaos Heart? The Immortal Clan's Royal Highness sneered. You won't. The Chaos Heart is in my hands and you still have a chance to get it back. If you destroy the Chaos Heart, you'll never get it again. Ling Xiao said calmly. Boom. Although he was talking to the Immortal Clan's Royal Highness, he did not show any mercy. Every punch contained a strong fist intent and chaotic light rose around him. The powerful epic fist pressed down and sent the Immortal Clan's Xianxia flying again. The Immortal Clan's Royal Highness' face turned pale and he looked extremely miserable. You're right. Ling Xiao, I'll leave the Chaos Heart with you for now. But remember, I'll take it back personally one day. The Immortal Clan's Royal Highness looked deeply at Ling Xiao. Blazing immortal light rose around him, and he wanted to open up the void and leave immediately. He was extremely decisive and knew that he had lost this battle. Since he could not defeat Ling Xiao, there was no point in staying here any longer. The Chaos Heart was a hot potato and there were so many experts eyeing it covetously. Even if Ling Xiao wanted to refine the Chaos Heart, he would have to go through a fierce battle. Boom boom boom. However, at this moment, the heavenly might was like a prison monument. It suddenly released an unparalleled glow and an extreme emperor's aura gushed out. It was like an ancient mountain that instantly crushed the void and pressed down on the Immortal Clan's Royal Highness. Trying to leave? Leave your life behind. Ling Xiao said coldly. Although he knew that this was not the Immortal Clan's Royal Highness' original body, he did not plan to let him go. He wanted to keep him here and teach the Immortal Clan's Royal Highness a lesson. Since entering the Chaos Secret Land, Ling Xiao had been toyed with by the Immortal Clan's Royal Highness. This made him very unhappy and he had been suppressing his anger for a long time. He had to vent this anger. The Immortal Clan's Royal Highness' expression changed. He stared at Ling Xiao and said coldly, although I can't kill you, do you really think you can keep me here? Boom. Blazing immortal light erupted around him. In an instant he punched out, and a vast fist will burst forth. The heavenly might was like a prison monument, and a loud boom rang out. The void trembled violently, and he was actually sent flying by a punch from the prince of the immortal race. At this moment, a blazing light rose around Ling Xiao. A vast fist descended, colliding directly with the Celestial Highness, sending him flying backward. Zhao's Royal Highness. Ling Zhao's eyes were extremely cold. The battle intent around him rose to the extreme. In an instant he threw out over 100 punches. Each punch contained an unparalleled amount of power, causing the Immortal's Highness to tremble violently. He was constantly sent flying, and his injuries became more and more serious. Although the Immortal Highness was incomparably furious, he could not escape the seal of the Ling Xiao fist, let alone open the void and leave this place. Just as the Immortal Clan's Royal Highness was sent flying by Ling Xiao again, Ling Xiao took the initiative and appeared in front of the Immortal Clan's Royal Highness. A black banner appeared in his hand. In an instant, endless demonic light gushed out. Divine chains of order shot out from it and wrapped around the Immortal Clan's Royal Highness. There seemed to be billions of runes on the black banner that shone brightly at the same time. Each rune seemed to have the roar of an immemorial ferocious beast. They contained the powerful imprint of the ancient demon clan. The Immortal Clan's Royal Highness' expression changed. He realized that he couldn't move at all. His entire body was being pulled toward the black banner by the endless divine chains of order. The 10,000 demon banner had made its move. Ling Xiao had not taken out the 10,000 demon banner all this time because he was waiting for this fatal blow. As long as the Immortal Clan's Royal Highness was swallowed into the 10,000 demon banner, the Immortal Clan's Royal Highness would become a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. He would no longer be a threat to Ling Xiao and would be at Ling Xiao's mercy. Rumble. The heavenly might was like a prison monument. It rumbled and pressed down on the immortal clan's royal highness. Ling Xiao's boundless blood qi surged. Powerful fist prints tore through the void and pressed down on the immortal clan's royal highness. Ling Xiao did not give the immortal clan's royal highness any chance to retaliate. With two extreme Dao Emperor weapons and Ling Xiao's full strength, the immortal light around the immortal clan's royal highness dimmed instantly. Although he struggled with all his might, he was still being dragged toward the 10,000 demon banner. Not good. Save the royal highness. The expressions of the ancient race experts who had been subdued by the immortal clan's royal highness changed drastically. They roared and charged toward Ling Xiao. They had already regarded the immortal clan's royal highness as their master. Seeing that the immortal clan's royal highness was in danger, they naturally did not hesitate. Moreover, the ancient race had already submitted to the immortal clan's royal highness. They had even plotted against the four great sacred clans. If the immortal clan's royal highness died in battle, Ling Xiao would definitely not let them off. Therefore, they had to take action. No matter what, they could not let Ling Xiao kill the immortal clan's royal highness. Rumble. Terrifying auras rose one after another. Among the ancient race, there were a total of 2 heavenly venerables and hundreds of sages. They all charged toward Ling Xiao, exuding extremely terrifying auras. Powerful attacks gathered into a storm and whizzed toward Ling Xiao. Courting death. Murderous intent flashed across Zhao Ritian's eyes. He immediately leaped up and the Emperor Yen cauldron spewed out blazing flames. It was like a flaming mountain that instantly expanded in the void. It stood in front of the crowd and blocked all the attacks. The Emperor Yen cauldron was extremely powerful. The numerous attacks did not even cause the Emperor Yen cauldron to tremble. Zhao Ritian controlled the Emperor Yen cauldron and charged toward the crowd in a mighty manner. At the same time, the heavenly Dao Emperor sword in his hand shone brightly. Sword qi swept in all directions and blocked the 2 heavenly venerables. Protect Ling Xiao. Taoist Wu Yang's eyes flashed. He immediately leaped up and charged toward the crowd of experts. The old goat, Long Outyin, and Long Xiaoxiao stood beside Ling Xiao. They constructed an extremely powerful defensive formation around Ling Xiao. They could tell that Ling Xiao was at a crucial moment in suppressing the immortal clan's royal highness. He could not allow anyone to disturb him. Kill. Snatch that crystal. Kill Ling Xiao. Kill this heaven's chosen one and snatch his heavenly Dao fate. Charge. Many of the surrounding experts could no longer hold themselves back. Their eyes were filled with a blazing light as they roared and charged over. Among the spectators, there were 5 heavenly venerables and thousands of sages. They charged toward Ling Xiao. Even though Zhao Ritian was powerful and he was controlling 2 extreme Dao Emperor weapons, he could not hold them off. It became extremely strenuous for him. Chapter 27-24. Taoist Wu Yang and the old goat were shocked and furious. They did not expect these people to take advantage of the situation. However, most of them did not attack Zhao Ritian and the old goat. Instead, they wanted to snatch the Chaos Heart. Rumble. Everyone could tell that the Great Desolation's heart was a supreme treasure. Thus, everyone rushed over, fighting each other while trying to snatch the Great Desolation's heart. However, something strange happened. A saint ruler was the first to grab the Great Desolate Heart. His eyes were filled with extreme excitement. However, the expression on his face froze instantly. His entire body trembled violently and exploded into a dazzling rain of light. Then, it was all absorbed by the Chaos Heart. Following that, a few other sages who grabbed the Chaos Heart exploded as well. Their flesh and blood emitted a dazzling light as they were absorbed by the Chaos Heart. What? Everyone was dumbfounded, and their eyes were filled with fear. What kind of treasure was this crystal? How could it devour a person's flesh and primordial spirit? Even the sage kings were not surprised at all. Their flesh and primordial spirits were directly devoured by the Chaos Heart. It was as if they had been completely wiped out. It was too strange. Although everyone coveted the great desolation's heart, no one dared to carelessly touch it anymore. Buzz. The chaos heart floated in the void and emitted a mysterious light. However, in everyone's eyes, this crystal had become an ominous demonic stone that could devour everyone's life. Ling Xiao, I'll remember you. The immortal tribe's royal highness said as he looked at Ling Xiao coldly. He did not expect Ling Xiao to have an extreme great emperor weapon. Moreover, it was the 10,000 demons banner, a treasure that contained the fate of an entire great thousand world. Such an extreme great emperor weapon was much stronger than ordinary extreme great emperor weapons. In addition to Ling Xiao's heavenly might, the immortal tribe's royal highness was heavily injured. He could not resist at all and was directly suppressed by the 10,000 demons banner. Sush. The immortal tribe's royal highness left a ruthless sentence before he was devoured by the 10,000 demons banner. Then, he turned into a stream of light and was instantly devoured by the 10,000 demons banner. You're courting death. After Ling Xiao suppressed the prince of the immortal tribe, he saw the surrounding experts charging over. A cold glint flashed across his eyes as he suddenly shouted, "Rumble!" The heavenly might swept out like a prison monument, exuding an ancient and terrifying aura. A mysterious and ancient hell suddenly emerged, enveloping many cultivators in an instant. Only those 5 great Empyreans felt that something was wrong and escaped. In addition, many experts were suppressed by the ancient hell formed by the prison steel. Misunderstanding, little friend Ling Xiao, this is all a misunderstanding. Let's get out of here. The expressions of the 5 Empyreans changed drastically when they saw Ling Xiao's cold and murderous gaze. One of the Empyreans smiled and spoke carefully. The 5 of them instantly wanted to leave this place. Ling Xiao's battle prowess was too terrifying. Even the Immortal's highness was suppressed by him. Although they were the 5 celestial lords, they did not have the slightest confidence to fight against Ling Xiao. Misunderstanding? I'll give you 2 choices. The first is to kneel and submit, and the second is to die. Ling Xiao sneered. The murderous aura around him rose, and the 10,000 demon banner in his hand exuded a vast emperor's aura that locked onto the 5 Empyreans in front of him. Ling Xiao, don't go too far. The 5 Empyreans' expressions changed. They did not expect Ling Xiao to be so domineering as to want them to kneel and submit. It seems like you don't intend to kneel and submit. Since that's the case, then die. The terrifying murderous aura around Ling Xiao seemed to have materialized. He took a step forward, and blazing divine light gushed out from his body. The 10,000 demon banner released thousands of rays of divine light and thousands of auspicious qi. In an instant, divine chains of order pierced through the void and suppressed the 5 Empyreans. After suppressing the prince of the immortal tribe, Ling Xiao had suffered serious injuries. This battle had been very difficult, but his battle intent had risen to the extreme. He had developed an invincible aura, as if he had plundered the prince of the immortal tribe's fortune. Even if there were 5 Empyrean experts in front of him, he did not care at all. Ling Xiao, leave these 2 bastards to me. Zhao Ritian sneered. His gaze fell on the 2 Empyreans who had submitted to the prince of the immortal tribe. His gaze contained a chilling murderous aura. The heavenly emperor sword in his hand was extremely sharp. In an instant, sword intent rose, and it charged towards the 2 Empyreans. Ling Xiao did not care. The 10,000 demon banner released a terrifying fluctuation. Hundreds of millions of divine chains of order circled around it. Ling Xiao raised it and slammed it down towards the 3 Empyreans. Boom! As if a huge storm had erupted, millions of rays of divine light bloomed. Lightning rose and blazed, and a terrifying emperor's aura gushed out. Ling Xiao's attack contained the imprint of thousands of primordial ferocious beasts, and it locked onto the 3 Empyreans. What? The 3 Empyreans could not help but change their expressions. Ling Xiao's attack was too terrifying. The 3 of them felt their scalps go numb, and their hair stood on end. They unleashed all of their cultivation to resist the 10,000 demon banner. Boom! The 3 Empyreans trembled. They were sent flying by the 10,000 demon banner. Blood spurted from their mouths, and their eyes were filled with horror. Submit or die. Ling Xiao took a step forward. His eyes were incomparably cold, and cold light shot out in all directions. The 10,000 demon banner once again pressed down on the three Empyreans. The three Empyreans could clearly feel the killing intent in Ling Xiao's voice. If they did not submit, Ling Xiao would really kill them. In an instant, one of the Empyreans could not withstand the threat of death. He quickly gave up resisting and knelt before Ling Xiao. Lord Ling Xiao, I submit. With the first celestial venerate submitting, the remaining two celestial venerates knelt before Ling Xiao as well. They gave up resistance and submitted to Ling Xiao. Rumble. The 10,000 demon banner landed 3 inches above their heads, and it finally stopped. The three Empyreans could even feel the terrifying killing intent of the 10,000 demon banner. If they had been a little slower, the 10,000 demon banner would have landed and killed the 3 of them. Although they were the overlords of the untainted mystery land, they were the ones who kept their word and controlled the life and death of hundreds of millions of people. However, under the suppression of Ling Xiao's invincible combat strength, they lost everything. They were only left with a deep fear of death. This guy, he actually finished off the 3 Empyreans so quickly? Zhao Ritian let out a bitter laugh and shook his head. Ling Xiao controlled the 10,000 demon banner with an invincible aura and forced the 3 Empyreans to kneel and surrender. Zhao Ritian's heart was filled with a desire to win. The Heavenly Emperor Sword and Emperor Yen Cauldron shone even brighter. Vast Emperor's aura continued to press down on the 2 Empyreans in front of him. He wanted to finish them off as soon as possible. The 2 Empyreans were not as strong as Empyrean Huai, Empyrean Rose, and Empyrean Thorns. Moreover, they were scared out of their wits by Ling Xiao and could not display their full strength. Under Zhao Ritian's suppression, they quickly fell into a disadvantageous position. P.S. The 3rd update has ended. Everyone, rest early. M. Chapter 27-25. Taking a day off for Eternal Emperor, please wait for a moment. Once the content is updated, please refresh the page to get the latest update. Chapter 27-26. Kill. Zhao Ritian bellowed. His eyes were burning with murderous intent as a terrifying aura emanated from his body. The Heavenly Dao Emperor Sword in his hand instantly pierced through the forehead of a heavenly lord, killing him on the spot. Boom. The Yen Emperor Cauldron emitted a blazing light as endless flames rose and pressed down from the heavens. The other heavenly master was swallowed into the Yen Emperor Cauldron and turned into nothingness. 2 heavenly masters died in the hands of Zhao Ritian in an instant. Zhao Ritian's face turned pale as he spat out a mouthful of blood. In order to kill the 2 celestial masters, it was not as easy as it seemed. Instead, he had paid a great price. He had burned the celestial emperor bloodline in his body and unleashed the might of a celestial emperor. That was why he was able to make the Heavenly Emperor Sword and the Yen Emperor Cauldron explode with terrifying power and kill the 2 celestial masters. However, he had also suffered serious injuries. Who else? Although Zhao Ritian's aura was weak, his eyes were bright. The aura around him rose as he scanned the crowd. Instantly, everyone trembled as their eyes were filled with fear. Those who were still alive were in despair. Not only was Ling Xiao, the god of death, terrifying, but he had also killed the immortal tribe's highness and many saints. He had even subdued 3 heavenly masters. They did not expect Zhao Ritian to be so ferocious as well. Those were 2 heavenly masters, the overlords of the Chaos Secret Realm. Now they had died silently in the hands of Zhao Ritian. They did not even have time to scream. Ling Xiao rolled his eyes in annoyance. Zhao Ritian was still as cocky as before. It was obvious that he was displeased to see Ling Xiao in the limelight. Therefore, he would rather get injured than to deal with these 2 heavenly venerables as soon as possible. However, this battle was finally over. The 3 celestial venerables stood respectfully behind Ling Xiao, their eyes filled with respect and awe. In order to survive, they had all handed over their primordial spirits. From now on, their lives were in Ling Zhao's hands. Ling Zhao's palm shone brightly. In an instant, a 5-colored light spread out. It contained the bloodline aura of the 5 sacred beasts. The great wild heart felt the strange aura in Ling Zhao's palm. It trembled slightly and flew towards Ling Zhao's palm. From today onwards, I am the Chaos Master, Ling Zhao said indifferently. There was a supreme ripple in his voice, causing the surrounding space to rumble. Greetings, Chaos Master. Greetings, Lord Ling Zhao. Whether it was the 3 celestial venerables behind Ling Zhao or the survivors in the surroundings, they all knelt respectfully towards Ling Zhao. Their eyes were filled with reverence. They all understood that the moment Ling Zhao killed the Celestial Highness and subdued the 3 celestial venerables, the Chaos Mystery Land already had a master. Zhogan, other than the 3 of you, how many celestial venerables are there? Ling Zhao asked a black-robed elder among the 3 celestial venerables. The black-robed elder, Zhogan, had white hair and a sage-like demeanor. He was the oldest and had the strongest aura. He was the clan leader of the Zhoushan clan. His strength was unfathomable, and the 3 celestial venerables regarded him as the leader. Master, I'm not sure exactly how many celestial venerables there are in the Chaos Mystery Land. However, I'm certain that there are no more than 10 of them. There are only 1 or 2 celestial venerables who have not come here. Zhogan said slowly. Very good. Zhogan, you're the leader of the 3 of you. I want you to unify the entire Chaos Mystery Land as soon as possible and form an army of saints. Train them in formations and help me conquer the heavens. Those who submit can live. Those who don't submit can be killed without mercy. A sharp glint flashed in Ling Zhao's eyes as he stared at Zhou Qian. Yes, Master. Don't worry, we'll unify the entire Chaos Mystery Land as soon as possible. Zhogan's body trembled as he spoke seriously. The other 2 celestial venerables also bowed in response. Their eyes shone brightly. Although they were unwilling to submit to Ling Zhao, their primordial spirit imprints were in Ling Zhao's hands. Their lives were in Ling Zhao's hands. They were bound to Ling Zhao for good or ill. Therefore, they began to plan for Ling Zhao. Ling Zhao was the chosen one. He possessed the heavenly ways providence and was the ruler of this era. He might even be able to compete with the legendary celestial tribe. If they contributed greatly to Ling Zhao's conquest of the heavens, their cultivation might be able to improve further. Although they were celestial venerables, they also knew that they had reached the peak of their cultivation. It was impossible for them to improve further. If they did not have a supreme opportunity or good fortune, it would be impossible for them to break through to the Imperial Emperor realm. However, they saw hope in Ling Zhao. This heaven's chosen son was too amazing. Perhaps submitting to this heaven's chosen son wasn't a bad thing. Very good. You may go. Ling Zhao nodded and said. The 3 celestial venerables bowed respectfully to Ling Zhao before turning to leave. The 3 of them had offered their primordial spirit imprints. Therefore, if Ling Zhao wanted to summon them, he could do so with just a thought. Although the untainted mystery land was only a mystery land and not a complete small world, it was the core of the untainted continent. If Ling Zhao could control the untainted mystery land, he would be able to take the initiative in the great tribulation of the new era. Soon, everyone left. Only Ling Zhao, Zhao Ritian, and the others were left. Ling Zhao waved his sleeve. Immediately, Phoenix Maiden, Bai Hansong, Huang Ju, Xian Ji, and the others flew out. This time, the 4 saint clans had spent a lot of effort. Not only did they allow the 4 young clan leaders to enter the Chaos Mystery Land, but they also sent a few Saint King Realm elders to protect them. Unfortunately, as soon as the 4 of them entered the Chaos Mystery Land, they were ambushed and fell into the hands of the Immortal Clan's Royal Highness. Although Ling Zhao saved them, the 4 saint clans also suffered heavy losses. Not only did the 4 of them lose a large amount of blood essence, but their protectors were almost all dead. There were only 3 or 4 Saint King experts left, and they seemed to be in a half-dead state. After Ling Zhao injected them with life essence, They slowly woke up. "Brother Ling Xiao, did you save us?" The Phoenix Maiden looked at her surroundings and her gaze landed on Ling Xiao. Her eyes were filled with excitement and were filled with an inexplicable emotion. Chapter 27:27. What are we doing here? Where's the Immortal Highness? Bai Hansong asked cautiously. Ling Xiao, the Immortal Highness' strength is unfathomable. We couldn't even defeat his maidservant. How did you save us? Huang Ju and Xuanji asked. I know you're all full of questions. Come, let me tell you. My cousin and I killed the Immortal Highness, destroyed the Eternal Immortal Palace, and then saved you. Long Outyin looked at Bai Hansong and the others and chuckled. He recounted everything that had happened after they'd entered the Chaos Mystery Realm. What? Ling Xiao killed the Immortal Highness? Bai Hansong and the others trembled, their eyes filled with disbelief and shock. They knew better than anyone how terrifying the Immortal Highness' strength was. A Grand Elder of the White Tiger Clan, a Grand Elder of the Holy King Realm, had been killed with a single finger. It was as easy as swatting an ant to death. They couldn't even defeat the Immortal Highness' maidservant in white, much less the Immortal Highness. When they'd fallen into the Immortal Highness' hands, they'd thought they were dead for sure. They'd never imagined that Ling Xiao would save them. What was even more unbelievable was that Ling Xiao had broken through to the Holy King Realm. Not only had he slaughtered Celestials like dogs, but he'd also killed the Immortal Highness and destroyed the Eternal Immortal Palace. Wasn't this strength a little too terrifying? As for Long Outyen's shameless claim that he'd killed the Immortal Highness with Ling Xiao, everyone naturally ignored it. Everyone, since we've saved you, does that mean the Dragon Clan has won the bet between the 5 sacred clans? Are you willing to submit to Long Outyen? Ling Xiao asked calmly as his gaze landed on the Phoenix Maiden, Bai Hansong, Huang Ju, and Xuanji. Ling Xiao was no saint. He'd paid such a great price and was even willing to be used by the Immortal Highness to save the 4 sacred clans because he wanted the Dragon Clan to rule over the 5 sacred clans. He wanted Long Outyen to be the leader of the 5 sacred clans, so he'd treated the 4 sacred clans as his own. That was why he'd paid such a high price. If it was an outsider, then it would be a different story. The Phoenix tribe agrees. From now on, Long Outyen will be the leader of the Phoenix tribe. When the Phoenix girl saw Ling Xiao looking at her, she said seriously without hesitation. Bai Hansong, Huang Ju and Xuanji exchanged glances. Although they were a little hesitant, they also took a deep breath and nodded in agreement. The White Tiger tribe agrees. Long Outyen is the leader of the White Tiger tribe. The Black Tortoise tribe agrees. Long Outyen is the Black Tortoise tribe's leader. The Qilin clan agrees. Long Outyen is the leader of the Qilin clan. After Phoenix Maiden, Bai Hansong, Huang Ju, and Xuanji agreed, they bowed to Long Outyen solemnly to show their allegiance. Their lives were saved by Ling Xiao. If it wasn't for Ling Xiao, they would have died in the hands of the Immortal Highness. This bet was won by the Dragon Clan. They also understood that the 5 Saint clans were bound together. Now that the great calamity of the new era had arrived, they could no longer fight separately. Although Ling Xiao was not a member of the Dragon Clan, he was no different from a member of the Dragon Clan. In their opinion, if they followed this child of fortune, the 5 sacred clans might be able to survive the great calamity of the epic in the future. They might even be able to restore the glory of the ancient times. Rather than saying that they were submitting to Long Outyen, it was more accurate to say that they were submitting to Ling Xiao. The remaining 4 supreme elders of the 4 sacred clans didn't say anything either, expressing their tacit agreement. Ling Xiao's gaze softened. He wasn't surprised that the Phoenix girl submitted to Ling Xiao. Bai Hansong, Huang Ju, and Xuanji were also so decisive. This made him have a good impression of them. Very good. You've all made the right choice. Now, follow me. I'll bestow upon you a great fortune. A fortune that you can't imagine. Ling Xiao said slowly as his eyes shone with a bright light. Fortune. Bai Hansong and the others were stunned. When they heard Ling Xiao's words, they began to look forward to it. All of you come with me. This should be the greatest reward we've gained since entering the Chaos Secret Realm. Ling Xiao smiled at Zhao Ritian, the old goat, and the others, keeping them in suspense. After he finished speaking, he slowly walked towards the broken Eternal Immortal Palace. Although the Phoenix Girl by Han Song and the others were puzzled, they didn't ask much and followed Ling Xiao. Zhao Ritian, the old goat, Taoist Wuliang, Long Outyan, and Long Xiaoxiao also followed Ling Xiao into the Eternal Immortal Palace. In the end, only the 4 Saint King Realm Supreme Elders of the 4 great clans were left behind to guard them. Rumble. Inside the shattered Eternal Immortal Palace, Ling Xiao waved his hand. Suddenly, a dazzling divine light bloomed and turned into an incomparably huge spirit array boundary that enveloped everyone. The prince of the immortal clan slowly flew out of the 10,000 demon banner. The prince of the immortal clan looked perfect and handsome. His entire body was shrouded in dazzling divine light. Auspicious vapors rose from him, making him look holy and ethereal. However, he didn't have any signs of life. His primordial spirit had been completely destroyed by Ling Xiao's 10,000 demon banner. This was only the corpse of the prince of the immortal clan. However, everyone could feel that the body of the prince of the immortal clan contained a vast and violent energy. It was unfathomable, like a vast ocean. Everyone looked at Ling Xiao curiously, waiting for him to say something. You all know that this isn't the real body of the prince of the immortal clan. It's just a clone. However, for this clone, the prince of the immortal clan spent a lot of money. I'm afraid none of you know what treasure he used to refine this clone. Ling Xiao sighed softly and said with some emotion, I can feel that this clone contains an origin energy that's 100 times stronger than a heavenly lord's. Could it be some kind of powerful treasure? Zhao Ritian asked curiously. Taoist Wuliang carefully looked at the corpse of the prince of the immortal clan. He saw that there were wisps of chaotic mist surrounding his body. The mysterious origin energy condensed into runes, and divine light lingered behind him. It vaguely seemed to form a mysterious little tree. It was very mysterious and extraordinary. Could it be a clone refined from the legendary world tree? Taoist Wuliang's body trembled violently. Even his voice was trembling. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something. His eyes were filled with disbelief. He thought of an incomparably terrifying possibility. The World Tree. That was the legendary World Tree. According to the legends, it was the first spiritual root of chaos after the creation of the world. It was the World Tree. P.S. I'll post 2 updates first. There will be 4 more later. Today is the first day of work. I worked until very late before I started writing. However, there will be 6 more updates today. Muyu will stay up late to finish writing. Chapter 27-28. That's right. It's the World Tree. I didn't expect the Immortals to have such a deep foundation. The Immortal Highness actually used the World Tree to refine his doppelganger. Ling Xiao said slowly. It was only after he had swallowed the Immortal Highness into the 10,000 Demon Banner that the 10,000 Demon Banner had destroyed the Immortal Highness' primordial spirit. Only then did Ling Xiao realize that the Immortal Highness clone had been refined from the legendary World Tree. Even though it was only a section of the World Tree's trunk, it was already extremely terrifying. What was the World Tree? Legend had it that it was the first spiritual root that was born at the beginning of chaos. It contained the origin of life, the 3,000 great ways, and the supreme power. Legend had it that it was the pillar of this universe. It separated the heavens from the earth and determined the 4 elements of earth, water, wind, and fire. Later on, the Eldritch continent evolved into the myriad realms. The World Tree even became the source of energy that supported the myriad realms. Legend had it that one could reach the myriad realms through the World Tree. However, the World Tree was destroyed in a great war in the ancient times. It had completely disappeared. Over the years, there were occasionally people who obtained the leaves of the World Tree. They all regarded it as a treasure. However, it was extremely rare, let alone the trunk of the World Tree. Ling Xiao didn't expect the Immortal Highness to be so extravagant. He actually used the trunk of the World Tree to refine his doppelganger. Using the World Tree to refine his doppelganger? Ling Xiao and Taoist Wu Yang's words caused everyone to tremble and their breathing to quicken. The Immortals are indeed the masters of the First Era. Who knows how many treasures they have accumulated? It would be great if we could go to the legendary Immortal Realm and plunder them. The old goat and Taoist Wu Yang looked at each other, their eyes turning red. No wonder the Immortal Highness' strength was so terrifying. At such a young age, he had already understood the origin of power, comprehended the power of the Great Ways, and stepped into the Imperial Emperor realm. All of this was due to the Immortal's foundation being too deep. Ling Xiao, how can you be sure that he used the World Tree to refine his doppelganger? Also, the creation and opportunity you mentioned, could it be the World Tree? Zhao Ritian asked curiously. I'm sure that he used the World Tree to refine his doppelganger because I formed the Holy Tree. You'll know when you break through to the Saint King stage. The Saint Tree is actually the World Tree. You can sense the aura of the World Tree. Ling Xiao said with a smile. As for the creation and opportunity, it's naturally the World Tree. The Immortal Highness Primordial Spirit has been completely obliterated by me, leaving only this physical body. This body contains the World Tree's boundless origin power, and it's probably 100 times denser than that of an Empyrean powerhouse. However, with his primordial spirit gone, his physical body will soon collapse. Once it collapses, the World Tree's power of origin will return to heaven and earth. This is also the best time for us to cultivate. This is the World Tree's origin energy. It's the purest, without any impurities. Absorb as much as you can. As long as you devour enough origin energy, your cultivation will skyrocket and break through. I hope everyone can seize this opportunity. Ling Xiao's words made everyone excited. This was the World Tree. Even if it was just a tree trunk, the amount of origin energy it contained was immeasurable. It was terrifying to the extreme, and it was enough for everyone to undergo a transformation. Moreover, the World Tree's origin energy contained incomparably gentle and vast spiritual energy. It could allow them to raise their cultivation without any worries. Before they reached a bottleneck, they could raise their cultivation without any worries. However, this opportunity was hard to come by because the World Tree was created by heaven and earth. Once it was broken, its power would return to heaven and earth. This process was not long, and everyone needed to seize this opportunity to break through. Ling Xiao alone could not devour the World Tree's origin energy. Even if everyone worked together, it would be difficult to completely devour it. This is indeed a great creation. Ling Xiao, I'll definitely become a Saint King and surpass you in one fell swoop. Zhao Ritian said excitedly. After Ling Xiao explained the Immortal Highness' current state, he understood. Moreover, Second Uncle was roaring in his mind, telling him not to give up on this creation. The fact that Second Uncle was so excited showed how precious the World Tree was. Alright, everyone, get ready. Even though I'll try my best to control the World Tree's origin energy so that it won't be lost so quickly, we only have one day at most. Therefore, everyone must try their best to break through in this one day. Ling Xiao said seriously. Alright. Everyone nodded seriously, their eyes filled with uncontrollable excitement. Ling Xiao took a deep breath. His eyes were extremely calm, and he became unperturbed. Then, he pointed his finger at the Immortal Highness' corpse. The sharp finger light instantly pierced through the Immortal Highness' forehead. Rumble! Like a bolt of lightning, the Immortal Highness' forehead shone with 9-colored divine light. It looked ethereal, mysterious, and dreamy. It flowed with mysterious waves. A vast and pure origin energy slowly surged out. The origin energy was extremely pure, and it contained gentle spiritual energy. Everyone could not help but feel energized. Rumble! In an instant, the Immortal Highness' body was covered with spiderweb-like cracks. In the end, it shattered into pieces. Everyone could see that the moment the corpse of the Immortal's Highness shattered, it turned into an ancient and mysterious tree trunk. Mysterious runes were imprinted on it, and it contained a boundless amount of source energy. At this moment, it shot out in all directions like a raging ocean, bringing forth an incomparably terrifying storm. Devour! Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. In an instant, he activated the sky-devouring secret skill. The vast sky-devouring sacred domain appeared around him, and the vast origin energy surged into his body like a heavenly river. The old goat, Taoist Wu Yang, and Long Aoyan had all cultivated the sky-devouring secret skill. At that moment, they naturally activated the sky-devouring secret skill and began devouring the vast origin energy around them. Only the sky-devouring secret skill's devouring efficiency was the highest. Although Zhao Ritian and the rest did not cultivate the sky-devouring secret skill, each of them had their own divine treasured skills. They were constantly devouring the origin energy. A blazing aura rose around everyone, causing the surrounding space to vibrate violently. Billions of thunderbolts surged, continuously devouring the source energy. Everyone's aura began to soar. Rumble. This was especially so for Zhao Ritian. Pure golden qi and blood surged around his body, and an ancient and majestic shadow of the celestial emperor appeared behind him. It was as if it was whistling through the sun and moon, sweeping across the heavens and emitting an invincible aura. Chapter 27-29. The heavenly emperor's silhouette devoured the origin energy wantonly and integrated it into Zhao Ritian's body. Zhao Ritian's body exuded an incomparably mysterious phenomenon. His aura skyrocketed and he began to slowly break through to the Saint Kinghood realm. Zhao Ritian's cultivation had already reached the Great Sage Perfection realm. However, like Ling Xiao, his accumulation was too strong. It was not easy for him to attain the Saint Kinghood realm. At this moment, under the impetus of the World Tree's vast origin energy, his cultivation began to climb toward the Saint Kinghood realm. The first one to break through was Long Aoyan. This guy had originally received the ancestral dragon's blessing and his cultivation had skyrocketed to the Great Sage Perfection realm. It was not easy for him to stabilize his cultivation. However, at this moment, as he devoured the origin energy, his cultivation had directly broken through to the Great Sage realm. After breaking through to the Great Sage realm, his cultivation continued to climb. Phoenix Maiden by Han Song, Huang Ju, and Xian Ji were originally at the Great Sage Perfection realm. However, in order to enter the Chaos Secret realm, their cultivation had also broken through to the Great Sage realm with the help of the vast resources of the 4 great divine clans. At this moment, after their Great Sage realm cultivation had stabilized, it began to climb toward the peak of the early Great Sage realm. There was even a trend of breaking through to the intermediate Great Sage realm. As for the old goat and Taoist Wu Yang, their talents were even more terrifying. Their cultivation was originally at the early Great Sage realm. At this moment, it began to climb toward the late Great Sage realm. Long Xiaoxiao was also working hard on her cultivation. Although her cultivation was the weakest and was only at the early Saint realm, the World Tree's origin energy was gentle and mysterious, causing her cultivation to skyrocket. Rumble. The void in all directions seemed to be distorted. Although Ling Xiao had left some means in advance to slow down the dissipation of the origin energy, there was still a large amount of origin energy that merged with the heavens and earth. It could be said that Ling Xiao and the others had only devoured 1/3 of the origin energy. Most of it had dissipated. There was only 1 day's time, so everyone was racing against time to devour the vast origin energy. Ling Zhao's current cultivation was at the peak Saint Kinghood realm. His recent breakthrough speed was a little fast. Therefore, although he had devoured a large amount of origin energy, he was not in a hurry to improve his cultivation. Instead, he continued to compress and stabilize it. Moreover, he comprehended the power of the 3,000 Great Tao Law in this majestic origin energy. This was an unimaginable fortune and opportunity. Everyone's cultivation speed had reached tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of times faster than before. 2 hours of cultivation was equivalent to decades or even centuries of cultivation. The power of origin around them even formed a spiritual chi tide, which liquefied into origin liquid. It was so vast that it drowned everyone. Everyone was immersed in the pleasure of cultivating and breaking through, as if they had forgotten everything. Boom! All of a sudden, a vast and terrifying aura erupted from the ground. Blazing divine light surged around Zhao Ritian's body. It was as if an ancient little tree had appeared behind him. It bloomed with thousands of auspicious colors and rays of light. It became ethereal, mysterious, and ancient. It was his sage path ancient tree. He had finally broken through to the Saint King realm. Zhao Ritian slowly opened his eyes. There seemed to be two terrifying divine lights shooting out from his eyes. They seemed to have materialized, containing a majestic and mysterious fluctuation. The aura around him was vast and unparalleled. It was formed by an invincible aura. Moreover, the vitality around him was surging violently. Golden divine light gushed out, making him look like he was cast in gold. His entire person was radiant to the extreme. His entire being seemed to have changed. His black hair danced in the wind. His entire person looked perfect and divine. Every movement of his contained an unfathomable heavenly might. It was as if the current Zhao Ritian looked more like the son of the heavenly emperor. His heavenly emperor bloodline seemed to have completely merged with him, causing him to be covered in a layer of mystery. Is this the power of the Saint King realm? Zhao Ritian let out an incomparably comfortable roar. His eyes were filled with joy. However, he did not stop cultivating. Instead, he seized every second to devour the vast power of origin around him. His cultivation also began to gradually stabilize and improve. Everyone was improving. Every hour, there would be people breaking through. A day passed very quickly. When the power of origin completely dissipated, everyone slowly opened their eyes. There was a trace of regret in their eyes. What a pity! If I was given another day, I would definitely be able to break through to the Saint King realm. The old goat said with some reluctance. Be content. Breaking through a few small realms in succession, our cultivation has reached the great sage perfection realm. This is already the biggest gain of our trip. Taoist Wu Yang said with a smile. He did not have any unwillingness or dissatisfaction. He was the same as the old goat. This day of cultivation allowed him to break through two small realms in succession. He directly advanced from the Great Sage Intermediate Realm to the Great Sage Perfection Realm. He was only one step away from breaking through to the Saint King Realm. Long Outyen, Phoenix Maiden, by Hansong, Huangju, and Xianji were even more terrifying. They had also broken through to the Great Sage Perfection Realm. They all possessed the ancestral bloodline of the 5 great sacred clans. Moreover, a vast amount of energy had accumulated in their bodies. This breakthrough had completely exhausted their accumulation. Although they were all in the Great Sage Perfection Realm, they would still need a long time of polishing and cultivation if they wanted to become Saint Kings. Even Long Xiaoxiao had directly broken through to the Great Sage Initial Realm this time. Needless to say, Zhao Ritian had already become a Saint King. Speaking of which, only Ling Zhao's cultivation did not improve much. He was still in the peak Saint King realm. However, his aura was ethereal at this moment, becoming more and more unfathomable. Especially his pair of bright eyes, they seemed to be able to see through the past and the future. They were deep and mysterious. Everyone knew that Ling Xiao had become even stronger. This clone of the immortal Royal Highness could be said to have allowed everyone to obtain an incomparably huge improvement. They had easily broken through a large realm. It was comparable to hundreds or even thousands of years of cultivation. However, they had only devoured 1/3 of the power of origin contained in the world tree. Most of it had dissipated and merged back into the world. Originally, because of a great battle, the land around the Silver Frost Valley had been flattened. However, because everyone had been cultivating here and devouring a large amount of origin energy, the surroundings were actually filled with towering ancient trees. Countless exotic flowers and herbs had appeared, and there were even strange creatures that contained boundless life force. They had appeared among the towering ancient trees, turning the place into a primordial forest that spanned a radius of 10,000 kilometers. This was simply a miracle of life. Just the presence of life from the world tree alone was enough to create such a vibrant forest, which made everyone gasp in amazement. Chapter 2730. Everyone woke up from their cultivation state. However, they all discovered that Ling Xiao seemed to still be cultivating. Moreover, he was immersed in an extremely mysterious and miraculous state. The great wilderness heart floated above Ling Xiao's head. The bright crystal emitted a strange energy fluctuation and formed a mysterious resonance with Ling Xiao. The roars of dragons and tigers could be heard from within Ling Xiao's body. Dazzling five-colored divine light spread out, surrounded by chaotic qi. The mysterious images of the ancestral dragon, the phoenix, the white tiger, the black tortoise, and the qilin appeared behind him. They looked vivid and lifelike as if they had come to life. The five sacred beasts floated around the great desolation's heart and slowly rotated, forming a mysterious five-colored divine ring that appeared above Ling Xiao's head. Ling Xiao seemed to be refining the great wilderness heart and also seemed to be accepting some kind of inheritance. His entire being was in a state of thoughtlessness, completely isolated from the outside world. Ling Xiao is refining the great wilderness heart? Zhao Ritian's eyes flashed as he said slowly, "That's right. Ling Xiao has just sent me a voice transmission. He wants us to leave the great wilderness secret realm first. He wants to refine the great wilderness heart here. This process may be very long. It could be as short as a few years or as long as 100 years. This great wilderness heart is very important to him. It may be the strongest shelter for us in the future." The old goat said seriously. There was no trace of laughter on his face. "Doesn't he need us to protect him? There are still many dangers in the great wilderness secret realm." Long Outyin said worriedly, "There's no need. Even a sage ruler can't break this formation that he set up. If there's any danger, he will naturally wake up. Now that the immortals have reappeared and their highness has suffered such a great loss here, I'm afraid they won't let this matter rest. The demon realm must unite." The old goat said slowly, "All right. Since that's the case, let's return to the demon realm. The five sacred tribes have been quiet for too long. It's been so long that some people have forgotten that the five sacred tribes are the true rulers of the demon realm." Long Outyin laughed coldly. There was a sharp glint in his eyes and his entire body exuded a powerful aura and domineering aura. Phoenix Maiden, Bai Hansong, Huang Ju, and Xian Ji shuddered. Their eyes sharpened. Even though their cultivation states had improved tremendously this time around, they knew that the gap between them and the immortal's highness was still way too great. Currently, the devil realm was undoubtedly the most powerful force in the myriad realms. Now, there was also the unfathomable immortal clan. Everyone could feel the impending storm. Although they had been talking about the great tribulation of the epic, this time, they could clearly feel the impending great tribulation of the epic. It was a power that contained both decay and rebirth, destruction and vitality. "Zhao Ritian, where are you going?" The old goat asked Zhao Ritian. He could feel that after Zhao Ritian broke through to the Saint King realm, his entire aura seemed to have changed greatly. It was as if he was becoming more and more like the legendary Celestial Emperor. He had a domineering and majestic aura. "I will follow the footsteps of the Celestial Emperor and go to the myriad worlds to have a look. I will test the heavens chosen of the myriad worlds and hone my cultivation. When I return, Ling Xiao, you and I will have a battle." Zhao Ritian said slowly. Then his gaze fell on Ling Xiao, revealing a strong battle intent. "Rumble." After he finished speaking, he turned into a bolt of lightning that shot into the sky without any hesitation. In an instant, he traversed the void and flew into the distance. Soon, he disappeared without a trace. He's quite carefree. He doesn't carry the heavy fate of being the son of the Celestial Emperor. However, perhaps this is the only way for him to transcend his fate and embark on a different path from the Celestial Emperor. Taoist Wu-yang looked at Zhao Ritian's back with a hint of admiration in his eyes. He could tell that although Zhao Ritian was always joking around, arrogant, and acting like he was the best in the world, he had a pure and innocent heart. He had a free and uninhibited attitude. He had the tenacity to strive for the top, and he also had the confidence to be strong to the bone. He was a very interesting person, wasn't he? Let's go. I hope Ling Xiao can wake up soon. The old goat added a few more layers of powerful defensive formations for Ling Xiao. Finally, he took a deep look at Ling Xiao and left with the rest. The joy of breaking through did not last long. Everyone felt a strong sense of pressure and urgency. They left the Chaos Mystery Land and returned to the Demon Realm. Only Ling Xiao remained in the Great Desolation's secret realm, refining the Great Desolation heart. The Celestial Realm. The Celestial Realm could be said to be the most mysterious realm in the myriad worlds. It only existed in legends and no one knew where the Celestial Realm was. Above the Celestial Realm, chaotic fog lingered. Celestial light shone brightly and auspicious vapors rose. It was as if there were 33 mysterious and ancient continents floating in the endless chaos, exuding an eternal and immortal fluctuation. The celestial palaces were dazzling and looked extremely exquisite and perfect. They were crystal clear and were hidden in the ancient continents. They looked extremely majestic. One of the mysterious celestial palaces seemed to have a gathering of stars. Tens of thousands of rays of starlight poured down like a waterfall, holy and ethereal. Several figures in armor with terrifying auras stood guard outside the celestial palaces. Their eyes were incomparably cold and their bodies exuded an extremely powerful aura. In the celestial palaces, a figure sitting cross-legged in the chaotic void slowly opened his eyes. There seemed to be millions of rays of celestial light shining in his eyes. It was dazzling and mesmerizing. It was as if one would sink into it forever. Interesting. You were actually able to kill my clone and snatch away my Great Desolation's heart? As expected of the chosen child. The figure looked ethereal and mysterious. He exuded an aura of superiority as he muttered to himself. Someone come. As his voice rang out, a woman in a white dress with a perfect face walked in from outside the celestial palaces. She was tall and had jade-like skin. Her face exuded a holy and pure aura. At this moment, she knelt down in front of the figure. Her eyes were filled with respect. Greetings, Your Highness. I'll send you to the Celestial Realm. The spy in the Celestial Realm can be activated. If you can seize any of the heavens in the Celestial Realm, I'll give you the greatest merit. A calm and ethereal voice rang out. During this trip, you can pay attention to any news about Ling Xiao. There's no need to be enemies with him. He's mine. The Celestial Realm is the foundation. If you can make him the enemy of everyone in the Celestial Realm and be despised by the entire human race, he might have a chance to become a member of the Celestial Realm. Go! As the figure waved his sleeve, the woman in the white dress flew out of the Celestial Palace. Ling Xiao, I hope you don't die so quickly. The figure muttered to himself. Then he slowly closed his eyes. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.